Hello, 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 and welcome to the Off the Rails podcast with the Stile Boyz. What's up, my man?
What's going on, big dog?
It's going, it's a going, it's a going. I'm glad to see this week go.
Yeah, me too.
I'm ready for a new one.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't rest today, but I feel rested, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And so I'm ready to take on another week. But well, for those of you who have somehow stumbled on to this podcast and don't know who we are yet, and by the way, welcome to the big 2-0 spectacular. That's right. That's right. 20 episodes. We have survived. We have made it. We've not been removed from the interwebs.
Nope.
All 22 people are still listening. And
Thank y'all.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
It is growing.
We appreciate it. It is growing.
I do keep up with the analytics a little bit. We're doing okay.
Yeah,
We're doing okay.
For two good uns not really knowing what they're doing and still having technical difficulties and just like, trying to do this and run full-time lives to hit 20 episodes and still enjoying it, right?
I'm loving it, dude. I'm loving it.
I'm down with it. But for those of you who don't know who we are, I am Travis, and that there be
Mitch.
And we are the Stile Boyz with a Z. Feel free to reach out to us. Offcuts@styleboys.com. We'd love to hear from you. Check out our social medias, off the rails.
Yep.
Interwebs. We are on the YouTubes, the Instagrams, the Facebooks. We're even on the other things. Yeah, the Tic Tacs, but we don't really do much on there yet.
Yeah, I need to sign into that. If you give me the sign in logo, we'll see if I can handle two of them at one time on the phone. Like if you can switch back and forth, I'm sure you can.
I mean, if I can handle 4 social media accounts, you can handle 2 Tic Tacs.
I can handle TikTok. I can handle that, buddy. Be all.
Because
I think that would be like
on Instagram. Do you have private Instagram, or is Cat Scratch like you?
It's public.
I know, but like, do you have I have me, and then I have Simplified Builds.
Oh, no. I just have the business page on Instagram.
So Instagram, what you see on Instagram is you. Like that's all the Mitch you're going to get on Instagram.
That's it.
Is Cat Scratch.
That's it. Yep.
Gotcha.
Now Twitter, I'm not on Twitter as my name. I'm not affiliated with Cat Scratch Cabinets on Twitter.
Gotcha.
And I let it fly.
Oh, I've never done the Twitter thing. Never. It just, I don't know. It seemed like too many words to me. I like pictures. I guess maybe that's the Marine in me. I just need pictures and move on. I don't want a lot of words.
I like Instagram. I like Instagram better for social media.
Yeah.
Twitter, I'm not going to lie to you. Twitter can be an absolute echo chamber. Absolute echo chamber, man. Twitter, from what I gather, my time that I do spend in Twitter is, oh, you like fishing? We're going to freaking shove fishing down your throat. I mean, we're going to suggest fishing, look at fishing, buy fishing, sell fishing. I mean, anything to do with fishing.
I've heard a lot of people say that, especially like with politics, like if you're on Twitter with politics, that you don't get any opposite side really. Like it's just your side.
That's it. And
it's tough. I feel like I got a ball of sawdust in my eyeball.
And I get it because, you're going to engage probably more with people that you agree with politically, religiously, whatever. But at the same point, man, I mean, but what I'll say about Elon is it's not one-sided. If whatever political agenda you're looking for, you can find it on Twitter. Like they're not going to hide anything from you, but they are going to force feed you whatever your political side is. I mean, I had to kind of take a break. Let me check.
If I keep doing this, does it make you think something's wrong with me or that I'm trying to signal something to you?
At first, because sometimes, man, you be glitching on my end.
I know.
But I don't, here it is. I was looking for the button.
Yeah.
I don't know what you were.
No, I was just messing with you.
Oh.
I was just trying to throw you off the rails.
Well, we were all. But sometimes you will, on my end, you'll be like, yeah, and then that.
Yeah. I get the Chinese mouth going.
Yeah. So I do fill in some words for you. You know.
I'm with you.
You know, I got to kind of figure out and I don't know if I do that on your end or not.
Sometimes it does it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
But the good
technology is
news
getting
is,
better.
I about to say the good news is the end listener doesn't have to deal with that because, you know, the way ours works is we record separate files in.
Yeah, it all fixes. Well, for the most part, it fixes itself.
For the
Tommy,
most
you're
part.
killing it, man. By the way, producer Tommy, little
He-
little round of applause for old.
Let's give him one. Episode 20. Come on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's doing good, doing good. He's been putting them out. He's
Now-
getting them out on time. I mean, titles are looking good.
I'll say this. You mess with him, and I don't know if you do it on purpose, but you mess with him, and it aggravates him to death.
What do I do?
Apparently, somebody keeps clicking this mark clip button down here randomly. There's like 8 or 9 of them. He's like, "Are you doing that?" I said, "No, I'm not doing that."
I'm not doing it either.
I said, "I don't know where they're coming from. Maybe Travis is just," he goes, "Man, because then I look for the mark clip, and then I go listen, and I back up." And he goes, "Man, I listened to him like 3 minutes after the mark clip." And I was like, "Well, ain't going to be nothing after the mark clip."
I wonder if I do it sometimes when I'm trying to mute my microphone. Because it's right there.
It's right there.
Like,
Yeah,
I
could
wonder
be.
if when I'm trying to mute, like to sneeze or cough or something, I wonder if I hit that mark clip.
Yeah,
thing.
could be. Now, what I do is like on the last episode, I said a word that I didn't want to say on the podcast. It wasn't a cuss word.
Yeah.
It was the name of an organization.
Right.
And so I wrote that down. And whenever
You think
one of the other guys,
because he ain't got there yet.
No.
he hasn't successfully bleeped out a dirty word for me yet.
now I'm
Thanks,
about to
Tommy.
say, whenever one of the other guys on this podcast that didn't me drops a wordy dirt,
Yeah.
I write that down and I send to him. But I've only been doing that like the last 3 episodes.
Hey, look,
Which I don't care if it's in there, to be honest with you. I mean,
I'm not proud, but here's the facts. I am not the cleanest speaker in the world.
me either.
And the fact that it's filtered down to what it is for this podcast, I am dang proud of myself. I'm just letting you know. I mean, I think in 20 episodes, I think I've got like 3 words. I mean,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's
And
not bad for me. I'm just saying.
I'm going to get this off my chest. I cuss.
Let it go. Let it go.
I
Let it fly.
cuss. I cuss. Sometimes I will cuss.
I know.
And it's hard to not cuss on the podcast. Now, I don't like, just run around nonstop cussing all day long. But
Yeah.
if I get fired up about something, man, I'm going to let a few of them out. It just makes me feel better. I think it lowers your blood pressure.
Well, and you know what's funny is I do curse a good bit, but I can almost every time I do, I can hear my grandfather say, "People
yeah.
cuss who are ignorant and don't have anything but and don't have anything better to say."
Yeah.
Like every time I go, "There's probably a better way I could have done that, or something, a better way I could have described it." Or my kids call me all the time. They're like, "Dad, did you really have to put it that way?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, you got my point. Like, you understand that
Man.
I'm for real, right?"
Let me tell you something. And all you parents out there, you're gonna feel this. A kid will make you cuss, dude.
Oof. Oh,
You talking about a child of yours?
yeah.
Oh, they will make you, man.
Yeah.
My kids will make me cuss, man. And I'm like, dude, I don't even want to talk to you like that.
But hey,
But-
guess what I did today, and I am super proud that I handled it like a champ. I do think I do good in this area, but we went on our first driving lesson today.
Oh,
And we're permitted now,
Mhm.
so we did our first lesson. We drove slap over a curb, not necessarily a curb, more like an island for a light pole.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a parking. So we go up here to the school, and it's just a big open parking lot. And I was having her kind of turn around these islands because she's so small, she's so short. A right hand turn is like, it's terrible because she can't see anything over there. I mean,
Yeah.
and I mean, she went right over and right over and right over. I mean, I was like, did stopping ever? She's like, well, I figured we were already into it. Might as well just go on over. And I was like, well, if we hit a car, let's don't just keep trying to drive through the car. Let's try to put
Yeah.
the brakes on. Should we,
Yeah.
should we hit something?
Eventually,
But
let's just
I didn't
hit the
yell,
brakes.
didn't cuss. I do pretty good on driving lessons. Like I did with the first one, I did pretty good. Her, so far.
I'm not going to obviously name any names, but I know a dad one time that had a daughter that was, kind of, he was in a bind and she had to take him to the doctor.
Oh,
Yeah, and so he was hurting really bad in his back. He had actually, believe it or not, he had a muscle spasm in his back so big that it dislodged a rib
Oh,
from his spine. Yeah. And that was me. I'm
oh,
not gonna lie, it was me.
oh, wow.
Yeah. I went to the chiropractor and he's like, I can help, but you have physically moved a rib off of where it connects to your spine.
Oh,
So anyway, I had to go to a doctor because
yeah.
dude, I was bedridden, like I couldn't do anything. And some things happened on the way because when I get elevated, she kind of shuts down mentally,
Yeah.
and it was a product of that. And I shouldn't, and I wasn't like cussing at her or anything, but I was like, you need to do something. Like, what are you doing? And go, 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 go.
Right.
It was that kind of thing, and
Yeah, I was like, so here's the rules. I was like, you have to do what I say when I say do it. If you don't understand why I'm telling you, but you understand what I'm telling you, you do it. And then you stop, or we'll figure out, and then get the vehicle stopped, and then you can ask me, why did we do this? Like, but you can't ask me why in the middle of telling you to do
yeah,
something.
exactly.
Right?
You need
Now,
to do it.
if you don't understand the instructions, you need to immediately say, don't understand, and I'll reword it. Like, just throw me back, don't understand quickly, and I'll
Yeah.
reword it some other way, so that we can execute and move through. But she did, she did pretty good. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, we did a little parking, a little backing up, just a lot of that, like understanding, like like the markers on the vehicle. Like, well, if I'm driving down the road, if I'm in my lane, then that windshield washer fluid thing is kind of like right there. And then if that's right there, then I know I'm in my lane. Like kind of
Yeah.
understanding like
Yep.
how all the references of the vehicle line up.
Yeah.
But
That
boy,
5 feet around your car.
can't
You know?
stop. Yeah, ooh. She comes. It's something about the line. Like I had her do a 3-point turn. She pulls up to the curb. I'm like, hey, right before you think you don't hit the curb, I want you to come to a nice, easy stop. It's perfect. Nice perfection. Come to a stop sign. I mean, it just right at the end, she just slams on it. Just, I mean,
Yeah.
if everything's great, and she's gonna make the stop. That's what's funny. She's in good shape to make the stop, but there's something
Yeah.
about that line in her head. She's like every time, and I'm like,
It
and
be
I told her
sneaking
at the
up on
beginning,
her,
I
man.
said, I'm holding a big cup of water. Like pretend
Yeah.
I'm cup and keep me dry. Try to keep me dry. And
Yep.
so at the end, like halfway through, I said, "There's no more water in my cup. The cup is empty. Like
My pants are soaking wet.
you've thrown it all out. I'm glad this is a hypothetical cup because I'd be
Yeah.
wet.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know.
This
But-
is Riley. Listen, I love my daughter to death. Okay. When I say I will end somebody over that girl, I mean it.
Yeah.
But this business here, when we're driving, the left and the right, just snatching. I'm like, Riley, you don't have to go 6 inches at a time. You can
Yeah.
gracefully turn. And I know where she gets that from, but I'm not
Yeah.
going to say anything.
I had to with Taylor. She wanted to like hover the brake. Like she was so scared. Like that the vehicle. Did you hear that?
Oh
Did you
yeah,
hear that?
yeah. We just came through it.
It's fixing to get real deal at my house.
Mm-hmm.
But she would hover on that brake, like almost pressing it. So I took her up to that same parking lot, and I said, "Gas it, lay into it as hard as you can." And she's like, "Huh?" And I was like, "Hit it, go." And I mean, she opened it wide open. I said, "Slam on the brake," and she locked. I mean, and let her lock it down. I was like, "The brake will stop." And from that point forward, she was confident that the
Yeah.
brake would stop her. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And she was good. But I mean, I'm glad nobody else saw what we were doing that part. I mean, because she turned a little bit of rubber in that parking lot. I mean, just wide open. But I didn't know any other way to get her to trust that the brakes were going to stop her.
Right.
They worked.
Yeah,
But-
you got it, because it's just the same thing running the table saw. I mean, you got to respect it, but you also have to have confidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise,
Well,
you're
and
just as
your
dangerous.
your kids get an advantage and like we got as kids, oh my Lord, that my kids don't have. Like, there's nothing for them to drive. Like, we drove stuff from
yeah.
we little kids, we drove stuff, whether it was lawnmowers or four wheelers or, golf carts or, whatever. I mean, we drove stuff. These kids don't really do that. Like the first time they get behind the wheel of something, it's a car. Like
Yep.
that is
Yep.
there's been no real warm up in their life, you know. And I'm like, man, that kind of sucks. Like, you know, because I can remember like sitting in my dad's car and like going up and down the hill with that stick shift. You know, I'd go up the hill and then let it roll back, up the hill, let it roll back. You know, I mean, I was
And that,
probably 13 or 14 working the clutch.
oh yeah, and that little area you guys, grew up in, there was nobody on those roads.
Mm-mm,
And I
mm-mm.
don't know how your town is, but like here, there's nobody here.
Yeah,
Tommy drives home. Tommy's 14, and
yeah,
he'll drive home. He'll drive me here sometimes, because I mean, there's literally no traffic where we
yeah.
live, and that's another advantage. And I can start them off, pull the truck around, go across the street, little things, and then
Well, your
move it.
11-year-old can run a tractor. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, like I
yeah,
was
it's
yeah, I mean, he would probably have to give, at this point, he'd probably have to give me a tutorial on running a tractor again. Like, it's been so long since I ran one, but it's so funny though at the school, like, you know what's going on. You just see all these slow, jerking, turning car. I mean, and you see one coming. They're like 100 yards away, and you're like, all right, just sit still. Just sit still. We don't want to be a part of a panic, and we don't want to cause any panics. And I mean, it's just kids learning how to drive
yeah,
around that school because there's two schools kind of close to each other. So it makes a pretty good little course. And I mean, there's, stop signs and some turns and some awkward places, but there's nobody
yeah.
there because you can't ride the roads here. I mean, you can't. I mean, there's just too much traffic for,
I'm about to say it, and that's a downside. Is
yeah.
you can't just put them in the front seat and say I'm gonna show you how to drive, and you immediately pull out in a lot of traffic. I mean,
Yeah. I
you
remember
can't do that.
I don't know how old I was, probably 13, 14, when it first started. Maybe a little bit younger, but we had a guy that, Mr. Bob, I can't think of his last name, but we'd go ride horses at his place and shoot 22s. And
Mm-hmm.
like we would get out there so far, and Dad would pull over and he'd let me drive down the country roads a little bit, just working that clutch and, working the curves and, and stuff like that. And I mean, you just can't do that here. Plus, too, I don't think law enforcement. I love you. I have a deep blue stripe for you guys, but I don't think that the common sense is still there. Like if I got pulled over with a 13, 14-year-old out on a country road somewhere, I
Yeah,
don't think that it would be. I don't think it would be kosher anymore. Like I just
right.
don't think it
You're
would be
right.
like. I was like, hey, there's nobody out here. We're just doing a little bit of a lesson, just kind of getting a little bit of. I think I'd get hammered for it. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't.
Probably.
I don't think that like small, like your area. I think you'd probably be fine. But like my area,
Mm-hmm.
I think one of these deputies, they, well, sir, the
Oh
law
yeah.
says. I mean, I'd
Come
get
out with a hand like this.
yeah. I mean, I'd get knife hand to death, but it's fun. I mean, it's a fun time, and it takes all your patience and
Yeah.
because you want them to enjoy it. I don't want to terrify her. I mean, she like goes over the curb, and I look at her, and I'm perfectly chill. I'm like, hey, well, that was fun. I look over, and she is so worried that I'm gonna blow up. Like she's almost got tears. I'm like, hey, it's fine. Like we didn't hurt
Yeah.
nothing. Like now she's
Hey,
trying to
tell
hit
her.
the gas, and she's trying to hit the gas. I've done pulled the car into neutral. Like when it happened, because
Yeah.
I was afraid she was gonna. I didn't know if she's gonna freak out or
Freak
something.
out.
So
Yeah.
I've done pulled it back in neutral. And she's like, "What's going on?" I was like, "Well, I was gonna make sure you didn't have a pedal switch up, because I
Yeah.
get this." I'm like, "What are you looking at?" She's like, "Well, I had to find the gas." I'm like, "No,
Oh,
you don't find it with your eyes. You feel with your foot.
it ain't gonna move. It's right where it was 5 minutes
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
Well, tell her this, not to feel bad, because when Trey and I went to IWF last year, downtown hot Atlanta, he drove a Hyundai Genesis, which is about that high off the ground.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, he went around a curve, dude, and he sat that son of a gun on top of a curb. I mean, it hit too. It was like, boom. And I was like, ooh, that's gonna hurt.
Was it a rental?
No, it was
Was
his
it
car.
His car? Well,
Yeah.
at least it's his stuff.
Yeah, yeah. At least it wasn't mine. Thanks, Trey. Appreciate it.
Well, I mean, do you think we should talk a little bit of work or cabinets or
Well, I think we need
what
to
you got
catch
going
up.
on?
We got to catch up from the last week.
Okay.
I've had, the first part of the week was kind of slow. I told you we did the install, right?
You see.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we did the install. That was last week. And so we got done with that. And really, as far as the shop goes, we got the church cabinetry done. We're just waiting on the countertop to come in. Trey's mother wanted cabinets in the laundry room. We got those done. Interesting story on that. Trey found out how important it is to measure from floor to ceiling on this side and floor to ceiling on this side.
Ooh.
Because it
Yeah.
was, I don't know, an inch and a half out, and the
Really?
house is not that old. I don't know what happened. So yeah, we hung, and it was weird because we had, it was it was about 12 feet total, and we had like a 3 foot cabinet over the refrigerator, and the rest of it, the other 9 feet, was two cabinets. So we had to kind of, we put the two big cabinets in, and then we hung the refrigerator cabinet, and we had to tie the two big ones together, and it was a big deal. Only to find out when I looked, I kind of stood back and looked, and the gap above the cabinets were just getting wider and wider to the ceiling. And I said, "Oh no!" So we had to unscrew everything, and we basically followed the slope of the ceiling. Now they're overhead, so it doesn't matter, if they go uphill a little bit. But if you put that crown up there and that crown doesn't look right, it is going to show, and it's going to bother everybody. Yeah. So we kind of had to call an audible on that one.
Makes your sign very true today.
You ain't lying, because I guarantee you, I could have hung those cabinets level, and it would have looked horrible.
Yeah.
The crown would have been above the cabinets on the right side. It wouldn't even touch the cabinets.
Yeah.
So we had to jack them up and kind of follow the ceiling. And he went and hung the crown up there today, which it was flat crown, one miter. So it wasn't that big of a deal.
Like what I call farmhouse crown.
That's it.
No 45s, just like a...
Had 145 on the front left corner of the fridge cabinet.
Yeah.
Where it wrapped around. But other than that, it was all wall to wall, basically.
Did you hook him up with some CA glue?
I don't know if he took any or not. I don't think he did.
Boy, I love CA glue on miters.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, with flat crown, you can run one and then just come on top, right in front of the other one. Yeah. And it looks like an inside miter. I mean, there's no difference to it. So he didn't have to do a whole lot of miters. But let's see.
He sent me something this week too, and I forgot what it was. He emailed me something.
Trey did? Well, ain't no telling. Yeah. I've got to leave early in the morning to go and measure a job, which brings me to, well, hang on. That's going to be a train probably.
Yep, it's a train.
Yep. We've got a bunch of those in the hopper. In the hopper.
I
do want to make I do want to pick a bone.
Ooh.
With you.
With me.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm. I'm a little bit mad.
So you have a bee in your bonnet, sir.
Yeah, I do. I'm a little mad that I haven't heard of bullet point mounting solutions before now.
I'm
just
with
putting
you.
It out there.
I'm with you. If I'd have known that you were looking for an awesome cell phone mount, I would have told you. And I think I did.
Guys.
As soon as I heard you were looking for a phone mount, I did say, whoa.
Yep.
Let me help you out.
And you were 100% correct. That thing, dude, I'm telling you, man.
Now it hurts. It hurts. It hurts up front.
It does. It does. They're not $15.
But that will be the last cell phone mount you ever buy.
I'm telling you, man.
Until you buy another truck and it doesn't mount in that truck anymore.
Yeah, and you got to be careful because they don't make a whole lot of them. Like, you can't just go out and get one for any make, any year model.
Right.
Typically, your bigger trucks, they make them for. Jeeps, they make them for.
Yeah.
And I think like a couple of Toyotas or something they make them for, so...
Yeah. So if you're looking for, so we both drive Ram 2500s, and the reason why I love this mount is because it uses some factory mounting holes. There's no adhesive, so in the hot Alabama, Tennessee weather, it's not going to slowly peel off and fall down.
Oh man,
it's not clipped to your air conditioner vent where it's going to get overheated in the winter or block your ice cold air in the summer. and it does not move. I mean, it just doesn't. I mean,
It don't. I mean, there's no wiggling. There's no slippage, no falling down.
Yeah.
And we rode. We got what 6.5 hour round trip over the
Yeah.
weekend, and I mean it was nice. And I told Tammy, I said this, it does what it says, what you expect it to do. Honestly,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, you expect it to hold your phone still and not be just flopping all over the place, and that's
Yep.
what it does. And I don't mind paying for. And I don't know if they're veteran owned or something. It seems like one of those.
They either are veteran owned or they do some proceeds back to veterans. I can't remember. But
Yes,
there's
it's kind of like Black Rifle Coffee, and Bullet Point, and
not like Rifle Coffee.
Oh well, I mean, the kind of veteran.
I don't think they're as liberal as Black Rifle Coffee tried to
Oh
go.
well, never mind then.
They've kind of tiered back, but they tried to make a left-hand turn.
Yeah, and they were like,
things.
"Oop, bad financial decision."
Oop, 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 oop. The people who buy our
Bud
stuff
Light.
don't believe with that. Yeah.
Hey, Bud Light.
But yeah, what is it? Bullet Point or Bulletproof? I can't remember.
Bullet Point mounting solutions.
Yeah, go check that out if you're looking. Like I said, it's not for everyone, and I like and I'll give you another one. So Magback is another that I like. Now, I know Mitch is a big OtterBox case guy.
Yeah, I got an OtterBox.
I don't like those big cases. I just can't do it. Because do you use like a belt clip or do you throw it in your pocket?
No, I put it in my pocket.
You use it in your pocket. I just like something slim. Now I've got a big giant scratch across mine where I put it in my pocket with some cut off screws, some broke screws. But it is what it is. But these Magback cases, I wish I had a way to show you. Like I sent you a video of how I have my wireless charger hooked up, and it don't fall off that either. But these, when you buy this case, it'll come with a magnetic strip, like a stick-on strip.
Mm-hmm.
You can stick anywhere, and that sucker will dock to it. When I get in the shop, I stick this to the tin wall at my shop, right under the radio. Like I stick it to the wall, and that's where it lives while I'm working. Because it's like the only place I can get service.
Yeah,
if I leave it,
and they do.
If I leave it there.
Well, they make, and you need to just go ahead and buy one. But they make a magnetic wireless charger phone holder for the Bullet Point arm.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
For the Bulletproof?
Oh yeah. So
see, I bought the Magback. So I bought the Magback charger, the one I sent you in the video, and I took the springy part on the Bullet Point apart, and I just super glued the Magback magnet to it. So it just it docks.
They got regular magnetic mounts, they got spring-loaded mounts, and they have the magnetic wireless charging mounts. They got all kind. So anyway,
I love the wireless charging mount. I really do.
As soon as I can talk myself out of this case, I'm gonna get one.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to be a little bit more careful with them, I'll say. But the phones have they ain't gotten where they're doing a whole lot more in between the generations. I mean, you look at like 13, 14, 15, whatever we're on now. There's not a whole lot of change, but the phone itself is getting more durable.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely does. I mean, I've skeeted this one across the floor a couple of times. I'm like, surely the screen is gone on it, and it's not.
I drop mine all the time, and that's the thing about the rubberized case is you can see it sticks out more.
Yeah.
So you can't, unless there's really something sharp for it to land on, it can't really break the screen.
Yeah. Yeah. These are raised. These have a raised. So if it lands flat, like it doesn't land. And I used to have a screen, protector thing on it, but I broke it and never put one back on.
Yeah.
But to each their own. Phone cases are like underwear. Like not everybody likes the same one.
That's right.
It's fine.
Yep. And speaking of 6 hour round trip, I got to tell you that we went to the cow sale.
Yeah.
And I've actually got a piece of audio from the cow sale.
Oh.
And I'm gonna play it professionally right into the microphone.
Right into the microphone off your phone.
And we're gonna take guesses on how much this cow sold for. So everybody be quiet. Everybody be quiet. Okay, I'm gonna turn the phone up. And here
it comes. In the back, shut up.
Yep, it's 40. Kids, be quiet. It's 40 seconds long. You ready?
40 seconds? That's like 3 days. 4,400.
Nope.
I have no clue.
So email your guesses on that. That was a great, just a great auction. My brother is in Argentina shooting doves.
Is he still there?
Yeah, he's still there. I think he's coming back today or tomorrow. But anyway, he goes, hey, I'm going to miss a cow sale. Go get a check, go to the cow sale, and buy some cows for me. So that's what we did. There was a lot of communication between, him and I, obviously, what he was looking for. Hey, it gets a little technical.
Did you have to FaceTime? Did you have to show me like cow rear ends or anything? Like...
No. So he had a copy of the book, so he knew what the lot numbers were.
Oh.
Right, and what kind of cow it was, and a lot of other stuff I'm not going to get into because it's super complicated. But they sold a bull as soon as we got there called Empower, and he's one of the top bringest bulls there is, as far as around here. He sold for $67,500.
Say that one more time. Surely there's, hold on.
Yeah,
there's something wrong with this earpiece. Hold on, let me see. Do you say 60? You said $6,700.
No, 67. That'd be $1,000 and $500 is what the bull. And that's only 2/3 ownership.
What? What?
Oh yeah. Yep. So you get to take the bull home. The original owner markets the bull, and they have 2/3. How do I say this cleanly? So there's something that
they have a third of the breeder fees.
No, they own a third of the bull, and they own a third of the straws that you extract and put something in.
Yeah, so the breeder fees, you would split up 3 ways, right?
Kind of, sort of, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So if you had whatever three straws, they would have rights to one of them to do whatever they wanted to do. So,
hey, speaking of breeder, ask you a weird question.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, this is happening. So for some reason, at the farm, at my shop, all of a sudden there's a goat that showed up with the sheep. And I don't think the goat knows that he's a goat, or he doesn't care that these sheep are sheep. Because he is running them. I sat there one day. I sat there and just watched him for about 15 minutes. This male goat has run. He's running them girls all over that place. and there's a height issue too with this little goat. So I don't know how that works out.
Listen, man, you just gotta let him enjoy it. Let him enjoy it.
But there's a male sheep out there who doesn't like this. So they're doing like the headbutt thing constantly around. It's a pretty entertaining thing to watch.
It is. And I don't know how they deal with that, but
until they all get tired. Yeah. I mean, but I was like, these girls are on a diet, boy, because they are running. Like it's like an all girls camp, and one little fat kid has slipped into there, and he's like, oh, look at all these girls. All right. And he's chasing every one of them. I mean,
yeah, he'll figure it out.
It's entertaining.
That ram will bust him one good time, and he'll be like, okay, I'm not welcome here.
You think's got a stronger skull, a goat or a sheep?
Sheep.
Sheep, really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, these sheep don't have any horns. They're just skull. He's got one horn. I don't know what happened to his other horn.
The little one?
Goat.
Yeah. Is it like really short?
Yeah, like almost little.
Yeah. So what happens is,
boy, he's got some swingers on him for a little bitty fella.
Don't they?
Boy, that's
it's kind of embarrassing.
It is.
Yeah, it's embarrassing because we're way taller, but we are no competition to a billy goat. I can tell you that.
I know, but you couldn't run like we football would not be existent if it was. If I mean,
so you burn their horns off.
Yeah.
So in cows and sheep, sometimes the goats, you can have a polled animal, POLED. That means they're born without horns, but most of them are born with horns, and you burn them off at about 3 to 6 days old, and then it just kind of cauterizes all the nerves. But sometimes you can get a little piece of a horn that didn't get burnt right, and it can kind of grow a little bit.
Still come up.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why we got goats and sheep mixed together. That seems like some kind of weird crossbred inbred thing, but
Yeah. Well, they can't. I don't think they can breed.
you don't
Well,
think so?
they can physically breed, but I don't think they can like
It'll take.
DNA breed.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So anyway, we were there, and I
He
was
doesn't
talking.
seem to mind.
No, he don't. He don't. He don't. We were there, and we were kind of going over the numbers. But see, you have a budget, and you have 3 or 4 cows that you really want, and then it's like, okay, well, if I don't get that one, then let's look at this one, and if I don't get that one, let's look. You know what I'm saying? And
But is it like if you don't get cow A, that when you get to cow B, that you can go? Is he willing to go a little bit more? Let's just use easy math. Let's just say you got 3 cows and you got $30,000.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So cow A, you don't win. So now, do you get $30,000 to split across 2 cows?
No.
Or does that just outvalue the cow?
It outvalue the cow. Yeah,
That extra $5,000's too much.
that's right. Yeah.
put on
So
that
you
one
would
cow.
you would pick another cow to spend less money on. So
Oh,
if you
okay.
save 10 grand from the first one, you can say, okay, well, let me look at F, and then we'd have to get up and go out there and look at cow F and kind of make a call on it because he can't see them in person.
Yeah.
And one of them he had on the list looked real good. It was pretty good on paper, but the calf was just junk. I mean, calf was junk. So I told him, I said, hey, 26 is out. I'm not doing 26. I'm not even going to bid on 26.
See, I'd walk out there and go, it moves and it's got 4 legs. Looks good to me. I mean,
Well, these are like top. I don't know. These are cows. So that is a female that has had a baby, basically. So anyway, there it's all kind of complicated crap as far
is that
as
the
when you're
same as a heifer?
no,
No.
nope. The heifer sale was on Saturday.
So is a heifer a pregnant?
Heifer is a female that has never had a baby,
Oh.
and
ooh.
typically 2 years old or under.
Okay. That's one of my favorite words, by the way.
Yo heifer,
Heifer.
yo
I just
heifer.
like saying it.
These were and the heifers probably went 20 grand a piece. Probably.
Shibbity cricket. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Hey, we just talked about that. I'm trying not to cuss on this thing. You gonna throw up 20 grand on a cow?
And
What's
like
the
I said, it
what's the
comes,
steak on that thing cost?
well, I mean, you're talking about an IMF that's in the top 2%. So REA in the top 5%, TM in the top 3%. So
And
you know,
RSPECT in the
that's
top
right.
4.
That's
Yep.
right. So
I
when
can
you
throw
go
out letters too.
when you go to buy a ribeye, what do you look for?
Marbling.
Marbling. And what is marbling?
It's that fat mixture ratio. I like that ratio
That's right. That's the fat that's mixed into the what?
to the meat.
To the muscle. That's intermuscular fat. That's your IMF score.
Oh, okay.
So if you have a cow that is top 5% on IMF, right? Then that makes that cow worth more money.
Gotcha.
And then REA is ribeye area. So how big the ribeye is. And then you have milk, you got weaning weight, birth weight, yearly weight. You have all these numbers. And they say, okay, with all these numbers, this is a top 10% of the breed cow. So that's kind of the rough run of kind of what's going on. I didn't know all this, by the way, a year ago.
Yeah.
I had no idea. But when you go to that first sale and you're trying to help Chris pick cows out, he's like, well, this is what this means, and this is what we're looking for. And
Well, how do you? I don't even understand how you figure out what you're paying for it. Listen to that auctioneer. Be like throwing my flag up and get done,
Well-
and they're like $80,000. You're like, what?
yeah, that can happen.
I thought you said 600.
Yeah. And you can, so they have people in the front, they've got callers in the front, right, that are looking at the, because, I mean, there was 200 people there. That auctioneer can't see 200 people. So you got callers that basically make a sign or a signal saying that their guy is making a bid. And you eventually get to where you have 2 people bidding back and forth, so you have 2 callers. And they're
Is
just
there
going,
a my bad clause?
well, that's your responsibility. If you don't know where you're at, you can ask your caller, do I have it? Meaning, do I have the current highest bid? And he'll say yes or no. Or you can say, where am I? And that's basically, how much am I bidding? But you can pretty much look at a cow, some things about the cow at these sales and say, it's going to be around $3,000. Like nobody's going to be at $30,000 on a
He's got a runny nose. He's $3,000 cow.
Yeah. So, so we went to that. Now, I was steady messing with Chris because, like I said, Chris does enjoy to partake in the spirits.
Right.
And when you go to this is a private ranch, all right, in a private building. They have all the free food you want: hamburgers, hot dogs, drinks. They fried fresh pork skins.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if it was vegetarian only?
Yeah, I don't think so. And
Sorry, we don't eat these things. We
Yes.
just sell them.
they started lunch about 12, and you eat as much as you want, dude. I mean, there is food everywhere.
Oh, they want you happy. They want
Yeah.
you happy when you're
Well,
raising that flag.
Here's the trick. About 1 o'clock, they open the free open bar.
They want you a little soused. They want you
Oh, yeah.
your wallet loose.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So when I sent Chris a picture of that, and I said, I think I'm going to go get me a drink from the free open bar. He was in Argentina, probably hot, tired of being out there. And he goes, man, they got an open bar? I was like, dude. And then that night, they served pulled pork, smoked brisket, all the trimmings, all the fixings. I mean, it's a big deal.
Well, if somebody's paying $60,000 for a cow, they ought to be whipping it out. I
Well,
mean,
think about it. They sold 120 cows, all right? And besides your high dollar ones, the average price was about $4,000 a cow. Once you got into the meat and the regular
Yeah.
cows, And you got to think 120 times 4, and the farm keeps 25% of that.
I was going to say, yeah, there's probably a good keeper's fee on that.
Yep. And I talked to one guy there, and he said the last one he went to, he wasn't planning on buying anything, and he spent too long at the bar, and he said he spent $60,000 before he left.
He spent a long time at the bar then. I'm going to tell you something. I ain't never been in that condition where somebody could separate me from 60 grand.
Yeah, but I feel myself getting pulled into Chris's business. Like it's
Just to
it
live
is
vicariously through him. Don't
right, exactly.
Don't like actively get into it.
No,
Just-
I'm not going to get into it. But it's like, dude, we love crunching numbers. That's both of us do. We love, doing the math and seeing. And I'm learning so much about these. And you got to understand, these aren't commercial. This is not commercial beef.
yeah.
These are breeder cows that people buy from you to put in their commercial herd to help their herd.
Right.
Right. So you're like the kingpin. They're like, man, I want one of Chris's cows, or I want,
Yeah.
So that, there's different levels to it, like anything else. But anyway, we had a good time there. We really enjoyed it.
Welcome to the Moo Moo podcast
Yeah.
with Travis and Mitch.
On
We're
today's
talking
episode.
about Brangus auctions.
We're going to discuss beef auctions. But we had a great time. It's just Tammy and I. Hotel was nice.
Good to get away though, isn't it? I mean,
it
even if
is.
it's kind of work-ish, I mean,
Yep, little overnight trip. We had
to
a
get away.
blast.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, she is all about a cattle sale, buddy.
Yeah.
She is all about a cattle sale. She loves them. So, hey, I know everybody's wife ain't like mine.
Yeah.
Y'all have to go on like romantic dates. I can take mine to cow auction, spend my brother's money, and we're good to go,
Still works, right?
That's a good gig.
Yeah. There ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm a little jealous. Not really, but kind of.
I had an uncomfortable conversation with Frank, which is one of the builders.
Is this house still delayed?
Yep. And so I called him Saturday, and I said, buddy, we got to poop or get off the pot. I'm down. I'm shut down. I said, I'm digging into money I shouldn't have to be digging into to pay Trey every week. We got to do something. You're backing me up. Not him. I want to be clear. It's not him. It's the homeowner. But I'm getting backed up from the home. All they have to do is approve the kitchen. They've approved everything else. They've made their changes. I'm just waiting on a go-ahead. And I told him, I said, and he goes, yeah, man, you ain't telling me nothing. The next house is going to be ready for cabinets. And you're getting, he told me I was getting people backed up behind me. And I'm like, yeah, which is going to put him further behind. I mean, keep in mind, guys, I have 8 houses at any given time lined up in various stages of getting ready to have cabinets.
Right.
So if one customer delays it 2 or 3 weeks, everybody gets delayed 2 or 3 weeks. And it makes us look bad because one customer is dragging around like nobody else matters. And I told him, I said, buddy, either we're going to have to go on this thing or I'm going to have to catch another job. And I said, tell them if I catch this next job, they're going to be 3 or 4 more weeks before they get cabinets.
Yeah, I mean, and the problem is so what's the holdup at the house? What is the?
she will not say, yes, I approve these drawings, or no, I don't. It's like
Oh,
they
so
don't exist.
you haven't built.
No.
You haven't built.
No.
You're in lieu. Yeah, that deck's got to be reshuffled. I'm sorry.
Yep.
I mean
Yep.
that's just.
And it's not the builder's fault, but when you hold your builder up, he's got to pay the consequence. It
But
hurts
is he
him.
going to remember this? Like, I mean, is he? I mean, let's just be honest. Do you think you got a good enough relationship that at the nut cutting when he comes in and you say, and when he says, "Hey, we're ready to go," and you say, "Well, I'm sorry, I had to move somebody ahead of you. We got bills to pay and things to do. We've talked about
Yeah.
this." Do you think the relationship's good enough that he's going to go? I understand. Like,
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely I do.
Okay.
And we talked about that on the phone. And he said, "Yeah, I don't blame you, man.
Because you know what I mean.
You got to do something."
I mean, you know what I mean. I mean, like at the moment right now, while he's just trying to make you. I don't want to say him because I don't know Frank. Like, so I'm not assuming anything. But you know how people will do. Well, right now I need to just kind of make you happy, and I don't want you upset because you're the cabinet guy for this job. So I don't need you vacating on this job because then I'm going to be in a hole because I'm the builder and you're my cabinet guy. But for the next job, when I say, "Hey, we're ready to go," and you're like, "Well, I'm backed up because of remember."
Oh,
Is
yeah.
he the kind of guy?
Yeah, he absolutely, man, he understands the game. I
Okay.
mean, he really does. He's not
That's
one of
good.
these that forgets what happened on the last job. He's a man of his word, and like I said, I'd made it clear that it wasn't his fault. But I
Yeah.
said, I ain't trying to tell you how to run your business, but they need to know if they don't get off the pot, we're moving on. Well, I have to.
Yeah. I mean,
know?
and this goes back to things we've talked about in the last 20 episodes of, building those relationships and having honest conversations,
Yep.
and I've got an incident that happened to me on Friday that I want to talk about being honest and having a conversation, but you got to have that relationship with the builder and, or your partner or, whatever the situation is, you just got to be honest enough, and clear enough in what's going on so that you feel like you can overcome these things because they happen. I mean, they do. I mean, and some things are just, they're out of everybody's control. I mean, they're out of your
Yeah.
control. They're out of Frank's control. And, and somebody's left holding the bag, I mean, at some point in time, unfortunately it's right now it's you. I mean,
Yeah.
you are the one that is, I mean, we kind of talked about last time, like this is a great job. This was a big job. And this is like the biggest job you've had so far. But every day the shop is not producing something. That big job is just being diminished. It's nothing. It's now becoming an average job because you've lost productivity days.
I'm about to say your profit margin sinks every day you can't get on that job and work.
Yeah.
Because Trey's got to be paid every Friday. I mean, he's got to be paid every Friday. That was our agreement. I didn't hire him and say, now Tom, when I had Tom working, I told him, I said, when I get paid, you get paid. But Tom didn't need money.
Gotcha.
He was doing it to have something to do. He's like, man, that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
Trey's a different story. He's a young man. He's got bills. He's got to get paid every week.
I mean, he ain't got no girlfriend because ain't nobody emailed us, but
It's because it's all our family that listens.
applications are still open.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
for any of my family.
But it sucks, dude, and yeah, but he understands. He understands what's going on, and I told him, I said, you're gonna have to call them and say, ball's in your court. You can wait or not.
I mean, if I was that builder, I'd have to say, look, here's where we're at. Cabinet guy needs an answer in 2 days. If he doesn't have an answer in 2 days, he's going to start on somebody else's project, and you're going to be in line behind that project. That's where we're at. You've got 48 hours to approve these drawings and to move so he can start cutting boards, or he's going to move on and your project's just going to be delayed. I mean, I feel like that's the conversation the builder has to have, and it's awkward. It's not comfortable, and I don't know Frank, so I don't know how comfortable he is with having awkward conversations. That may
He'll
be
have them.
okay. I was like, I mean, some people are. I mean, that might
yeah.
be that could be part of the problem.
Yeah.
But I don't know him, so I'm not saying that it is part of the problem, but it could be because some people just don't like comfort. My oldest daughter hates. Don't send my oldest daughter to go through a drive-through and get your order. It's not going to if there's something in the bag wrong, she's not going to go back around and say, "Hey, you forgot something." She's coming home with the bag, whatever they put in the bag. From? Hell if I know. I mean, heck if I know. I mean, because
it ain't mom and dad.
No, we're circling the building. But I have noticed if it's her money that pays for the order, we
Oh.
might circle back and say, "Hey, sir." But no, if
Mhm.
it's mom and dad's money, I mean, you coming home, "Hey, where's my sauce?" Well, I asked for it. Well, it
Yeah.
ain't in here.
And there's 2 points that I've learned that I've kind of noticed about myself through this whole thing. Point number one, 5 years ago, I would not have called him and said, "Hey, we need to get going."
Oh,
I
you
would have,
just take whatever he gives you.
I'd have
You
taken
just
whatever. Yep, exactly.
however he wants to treat you. However, hey, I don't want to handle. I don't want to
Yeah,
mishandle this guy. I don't want to do
that's
anything.
right.
I'm with
Yep.
you. I'm with you.
And it's one of those things where you don't want to cross any boundaries or whatever. And I wouldn't have done that. I would no way I'd have made that phone call. And thing number two is I've called him 3 or 4 times. We've texted, and I called him Saturday.
Yeah.
And Saturday I was like, we got to move.
Yesterday, Saturday.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's it. From this moment, the ball's in their court. Whenever they do decide to send me approved, it's either going to be, okay, I can start on it, or you're a week late.
Right.
I got to get done with this job. I will not run you down. I will not chase you down to try to get it. You know that I'm sitting over here waiting. We've talked about it numerous times. The customer knows I'm waiting. I'm not gonna babysit you.
Well,
And
let's
I'm not
just
gonna.
say let's look at a normal business that you deal with. Okay, the door plant. All right. When you call to put the door plant order in, that was all jacked up. When you call the door plant to put the order in for this job, you're not going to get to say, "Hey, you know what? I know this job was actually supposed to start 2 weeks ago, so I need you to put this door order in like it was 2 weeks ago, and go ahead and turn it on out." Like the door plant's going to go, "Not my problem. The door
Yep,
order arrived today. It goes in line today. Whenever it comes out of the line is when it comes out of the line. I'm not backdating I can't backdate you.
that's right.
You're the same way. I mean, just
Yep.
because you're smaller doesn't really change that. I mean,
And it sucks because I like this dude, and it's not his fault.
I know.
He has nothing to do with it. And at the end of the day, man, he's going to have to tote.
Well, it
You
sounds
know,
like he gets it though.
tote
I mean, it
yeah,
really
he
does,
does.
and I hope he does. I mean, I hope you're right.
Like, I don't have to. If I called him and said, "Dude, I had to move on," and do something, I had to get some money generating in. He's going to be like, "I get it. I
Yeah.
get it, dude."
Yeah.
I mean, because he knows the deal. He knows us. He knows my kids. He knows my wife. He knows our business. I mean, 5 years I've been working for this guy.
Yeah.
But we're not friends on Facebook. I got a rule. I never send clients or builders a friend request on Facebook.
Usually they end up following me on Instagram.
Yeah, yep. And now
But
if they
that's
send
why-
me one, I'll take it. But
But now that's why I also have like my personal, like even social media, like both social media, Instagram and Facebook. I have my account and then I have the business account.
and I do too. I got it on Facebook. I got a business account.
Because I'll tolerate some customer stuff on. I'll tolerate some of their liberal stuff, or whatever that I don't necessarily fundamentally agree with on the business page because that's business. However, I mean, it's got to get pretty deep. Like I did have one customer that I was like, all right, I'm gonna unfollow you. You're just too far in this anti-gun thing that, and it wasn't that she was, it wasn't that she was anti-gun. Like I really could care less. It was that she was every day, 3 or 4 times a day anti-gun, and I was like,
Yeah.
I can't take this anymore. Like I
No.
gotta let it go.
We can't do this.
Just because I was frustrated by seeing it, and I was too tempted to comment on it, and it was the business page. I was like, nah, no, we don't need to,
Right.
we don't need to comment from the business page. So I just kind of,
Nowadays, social media, man, they can wreck you, dude.
They
You get
can.
on there
They
and do stuff so people can do whatever.
Can.
I actually had a guy that I made a comment on one time. It was a running joke, but he didn't know what we were talking about, and it didn't have anything to do with him. He felt personally attacked.
oh really?
And so he went to my Facebook business page and started like putting angry faces on all the posts. And then he started messaging me, dude, and he was like, "Why'd you write that on my post? I don't understand why you guys are." And I was like, we were having a whole nother conversation in the comments. Like I done forgot you existed at this point.
You jumped in on a conversation you didn't even going about.
Yeah. And so then he's like, "Is this where you live?" do you live here at this address? And I said, well, I tell you what, ain't one way to find out. I said, you come rolling up in the front, knock on the door, and I said, you'll find out if I live there or not,
Yeah.
But anyway, we got it resolved because I had to explain to him what was
boy
going
are
on.
ya?
Yeah.
My name's Roy D. Mercer.
Roy D. Mercer. But, I told him, I said, listen, this is a big misunderstanding. I told him, he was like, oh, well, never mind. I was like, yeah, well, clearly you didn't think, buddy.
There's not a whole lot of stuff I'm willing to get in a fight about. Now, I had an incident in the neighborhood yesterday I was willing to get in a fight over. I ain't gonna lie. I need to tell you about that one offline. I mean, I was ready. I was like, all right.
Yeah, I want to hear about that one.
Yeah, I'll tell you that one offline.
I don't have very much left. The plumber's supposed to be coming next week. We picked out doors and windows within budget. Hello.
You're going to have some that close and some that open.
Yep.
With no buttons. No mullions.
No mullions in the window.
You call them mullions. I call them muttons. I don't know what the right word is. I don't really know what a mutton is other than like in a sheep.
What else do they call them? They call them,
why do sheep keep coming up so much in my conversation?
You're a sheep man. You got turkey hat on. You're like an animal dude today.
Oh, that's another thing I was going to tell you. When you're talking about an open bar, go to a Turkey Federation banquet, and they're going to have that bar pouring right before the auction goes. And they'll tell you, we're trying to get everybody loosened up. We want their wallets loose.
Do you know that I have the grand prize from a National Wild Turkey Federation banquet somewhere down around Butler County?
Oh.
And it wasn't a gun. It was like it was a painting from a guy. He's known for painting with light or something like it. It makes it look like the sun's coming up or something.
Thomas Redkin?
Something like that. I think that might be him.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, so anyway, I helped my cousin move, and I kept bragging on the picture. I was like, man, it's a pretty picture. And got done, and she was like, I'm not even going to hang it up. Take it with you.
Oh, really?
Like, what? So, yeah. Anyway, so I got that out of the way. Sensei, go ahead. Were you going to say something? Oh.
Kind of, but not really. Hey, I just became Facebook friends with Sensei.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I found him. He popped up on my stuff. I was like, oh, I know you.
He is good. He's really good on Facebook.
Yeah.
He doesn't post a whole lot.
Yeah.
But he's, he'll jump in. He'll support you. He'll jump in and support you.
Yeah. I looked. I was like, is this the right Sensei? And I saw you were a friend. And I was like, this is him.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
That's him. And if you have any questions about records or record players, buddy, he's the guy to go to. Speaking of Sensei, we could possibly, maybe the discussion kind of started today about us getting a tractor.
The two of you?
Yep.
Like a co-owner?
Yep. I'm going to start doing that on mine.
Here you go, Tommy. This is going to be the episode of sounds.
But we kind of talked about both of us today. We're talking about needing one, and he was like, what do you recommend? And I kind of told him, he's like, well, I mean, if you're open to it.
Like a 40 horse or something?
Yeah, 40, 50 horse, front end loader, four-wheel drive, that kind of thing. Just general duty, house tractor.
I got one. You want one? I got one in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it to you. I'll swap it for that joiner.
Okay. But in reality, he's going to use it twice a year.
Right.
I mean, it's just, he doesn't do a whole lot. He really doesn't even need one. Like, he's going to scrape his driveway. And I was like, and he's old school. He's been there, done that. And I can tell you, he does not play around about money, whether he owes you money or you owe him money. If that man owes you $1, he's coming with it. I mean, so I think, not a whole lot of people I would do that with. I don't recommend it, but we're going to look into it because I could get half off a tractor.
So he wouldn't live on my philosophy. Like something like that, I'm always like, hey, that way I'm never in debt. If you owe me $1, I'm always in the positive. Somebody he wouldn't let that ride, huh?
I guarantee you, he don't owe nobody no $1.
I got you.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean,
I'm sending you a picture on that on that front. I want to talk about this.
All right. We'll see when it comes in.
I can't wait to see your face when you open that picture.
Let's see. Let's see what you sent me. Let me get to it. Here it is. Opening it up. What in the world? Is that yours?
It's not mine. So for the YouTubers, I'll try to share it right there. That kind of gives you an idea. Let me get it to not time out. So this is the this is my my wife's cousin. So he bought this mini truck This is a Japanese. It's a Hi-Jet. It's a 4-wheel drive. I thought it was the stupidest thing I'd ever seen in my life when he pulled up with it. I said, I don't understand why you bought this. He was remodeling the house across the street, and he's like, I just bought it so I could run to Lowe's, get stuff, and come back with it. He's like, I don't need a truck. It's right-hand drive, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's wrong. It's wrong-handed. It's just 2 passengers. They ain't no airbag. This is like a 90 something. Like they have to be like 20 something years old before you can import them.
Import them, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, man, this guy has gotten every dime out of this thing that he has paid for it. So that's a new lawnmower he had to buy for this yard where they moved to. Yeah. I mean, and he's got that thing loaded down. The lawnmower is as big as the cab.
As big as the cab, yeah.
If you're listening to this audio only, this thing is as big as the cab. I'll post a picture of this on social media when this episode goes live. Go check it out and give me some likes. Let me know that you actually went and saw it, and I'll post a picture of it and show you. But it's just, when you talk about buying a tractor, though, I mean, it's like Kubota Orange. I don't know what the brand of this thing is, but
I don't either. I didn't see it on there. It could be a Kubota.
He was looking at Bad Boys, but I don't think Bad Boys are orange. But he's got this very steep hill, so he had to have like this rear stand up. He had to have a specific lawnmower to be able to get up this hill. But when you said tractor and just moving it around and stuff, it just made me think of that truck. It's funny. But I mean, he uses that thing. It's as handy as a pocket on a shirt. I'm telling you. It's when I had the shop here, I would call him all the time. Hey, can you bring the truck over? Can we load scrap on it? And we'll go take it. Because it was so much easier to load and to take it to the dump than my truck was.
So it's street legal.
Oh, yeah, it's street legal. It's tagged. It's ready to roll. Yeah, so he has 4 vehicles. When you look at the license plates all lined up, they say Rammer, Jammer, Yellow Hammer.
Oh, really?
Yep. Yep. Big Alabama fan. Wife just graduated from Alabama with an MBA, and he's been an Alabama fan for like forever. I would say he's 95% of the time when you see him, he's got an Alabama shirt on. I mean, that's like his wardrobe.
We hit him with our road tide.
He likes the road tide. He does. I had to get a refill. I don't know what the last hour of this thing's going to look like because I just got a refill.
It's your turn now, so I am kicking back.
Oh, you're done already?
I'm done, man. Oh. Just like that.
So that's just your recap. We got some things to talk about, but that's your recap.
Yeah.
So you took a whole hour to do your recap plus my sideshow antics. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Well, I don't have much for a recap. So got 2 builds going at the same time right now. Got the trailer loaded up today. Got an install going tomorrow morning in the old Winchester, Tennessee, about an hour and a half from here.
And what time are you leaving?
So we're going to leave about 6:30. And I'm kind of excited about this, but I'm kind of terrified at the same time. So my partner, Derek, his parents are here from Ireland right now, visiting the baby. They just had a new baby, 10 weeks-ish old. And so they've been in town visiting the baby, and Dad is going with us on the install tomorrow.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I feel like my life is going to need subtitles tomorrow morning because I don't feel like I'm going to understand anything that these two say.
Is it creepy though to put your phone on like the recorder and just kind of put it in your pocket and have a conversation with them? Is that creepy?
I know, yeah, it might be. But I'm tempted to like show up like the biggest hick accent that I can like muster up when they show up at the shop tomorrow morning, and just be, hi, buddy, it's just so glad to meet you, man. I just so glad to have you here in the U.S. of A.
Ooh, let's go put up a daggum trailer.
When you come back now, you can ride one of them sheep if you want to, but I only recommend the big one. I don't recommend riding that little one out there now.
Yeah, like, yeah, you do.
I just wonder if I should pour it on for him or what. But it created this weird but good thing for my life today that put in the parallax of trying to be here on time was that we're all riding together because it's so far away, and we're taking my trailer because it's already loaded and we're ready to go, obviously. So they're both going to ride with me. And my truck
that's going to be fun.
But my truck was an absolute embarrassment. I was like, I can't leave anybody in here. So Kim and I, my wife, she went graciously went to the car wash with me because I was like, I don't want to drag out the pressure washer and all that crap. So we just went over to the self car wash. We did the brush thing, and like I'm doing the brush and I'm rinsing. She's got some microfibers that I'd bought, and she's like trying to get some of the tar marks off because it's been probably a solid year since I've cleaned my truck.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're doing the dust wipe down on the inside, trying to get, where you can breathe. I really need. Do you ever change your cabin filter on your Ram? You probably should.
I probably should, yeah.
I just checked mine. I'm just saying you probably should.
How hard is it well, you got a different model than I do.
It's in the glove box. It's behind the glove box. Yeah.
I may look into that.
Yeah.
YouTube for later.
Yeah. Yeah. Cabin air filter. But yeah, so I think it's going to be fun, to do the install together. Laundry room from hell got painted this week. Looks super awesome. They did this super cool green color. And then we'll go back. I'll do a recap on that once we get the doors in. Had to order the doors from a door plant that we've never used before because they had some kind of weird double profiles on the existing doors. But super nice lady helped me out with that. And then I've got another build that is 90% done that will drop on the 17th when they close. So I'm trying to get that one done, pushed to the corner, and trophy cases starting. I know I've said like 7 weeks trophy cases are starting. I am on the wire. Trophy cases are starting. Let me assure you. We're going on vacation at the end of the month, which I need to talk to you about. It'll be a day that I won't be around, so we got to figure that out. But so we're going on vacation at the end of the month. So I got to get them done before we go, or we can't afford to go on vacation.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well, I feel that.
It's one of the, it's one of those. But it's kind of the big trip. We're going to see my buddy down south at the beach. So I mean, it's a good thing. It's a good time to see him. It's just a good beach. It's just a good decompression because I'm ready for some cervezas and some sand and just to sit there on the beach.
I will start
because I will start at 10 and I will sit there and drink beer until the sun sets. I mean, I'm good. I will sit on the beach the whole day. It doesn't bother me.
And not hurt a doggone thing.
No. I know you don't love the beach, but I could sit there and chill. I got another friend that hates it too. Like, I mean, which now you don't like to drink like he does. He likes to drink like I do. So I'm like, dude, I don't understand how you don't like to just sit here, do nothing and drink beer. Like I don't.
It's hot. It is hot. You got a condo.
You get an umbrella. No, you get an umbrella. You got some shade. You walk out to the water every 3 beers to deposit and replenish the ocean. It's fine.
Oh, you can hang up me getting in that water, homeboy. You can hang that up. I ain't gonna happen.
Gotcha. And so I am going tomorrow to look at another shop. So it would be another rental situation. It's not one that I can buy. It would be another situation where I still don't have a bathroom. Same, yeah. From that standpoint, it's about the same square footage, but it's not one big bay, and it's nicer. It's got walls. It's got better ceilings. It's got a place like that I can actually park the trailer under some covered parking. I would be able to go straight out from the shop into the trailer. It's a tad bit further away, but the same exact dollar amount that I'm paying per month in rent.
Yeah.
Okay. So no increases. Power is a little bit of issue. I talked to the guy today. Not a whole lot of 220 existing, but plenty of room in the panel for 220s. And he's good with me running power. So from that standpoint, and it looks like it wouldn't be a very big room, but the way it's kind of cut, there would be an opportunity to actually do a small finishing room. So that is actually kind of the most intriguing part based on my last week's claim of and proclamation of the 5-year plan was to start trying to move into the furniture side, and that's going to require finishing. So that's going to require, I'm really going to need a room that I can, even if it's just staining and polishing, like not necessarily a lot of spraying, but a room that I can keep relatively clean and separated.
And it doesn't have to be huge.
It doesn't. No.
Which is a bonus.
Lighting is a little bit better. I don't think that I would have sheep coming into the shop like I did yesterday.
Well, that'll help.
In the middle of the day, I had to send the text, "Hey, sheep are out." One just came in the shop, which I've learned to not freak out when the sheep are out. I mean, first time they got out, it really scared me. I was like, "Hey, this guy's sheep are going to go missing," and they really don't. They kind of stay close, but
they stay close. Yep.
So I don't worry about them anymore. But I try to be a good tenant and try to be responsible for their area, and I let him know, hey, I'm here and your stuff. I mean, and I got a text yesterday. I showed up and I pulled up and there's a big orange Home Depot bucket on the jack of my trailer. I'm like, that's weird. What the heck is going on? At about the time I'm pulling up, he sends me a text. He said, I got a guy delivering some equipment. I didn't want him to clip the front of your trailer. I put that Home Depot bucket on there so you'd be able to see the tongue of your trailer. He's like, I just wanted to be sure. And I was like, oh man, thank you. I mean, he's a super nice guy. I mean, he really is. This shop has walls, that I could put lumber racks and stuff on. Yep. I don't have that. I mean, there's just some things. And this shop, if I have to stay here in the shop that I'm in, it's no big deal. It's really not. I'm fine. But this shop could potentially lead to some better things,
Right,
and even for the same money, it's not that bad. So we'll see. We'll see what it brings. If the install goes good tomorrow and I have time to go tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to. If not, I'm going to go Tuesday afternoon and take a look at it and see. So we'll see.
Does it have cell phone coverage?
Well, it can't be any worse.
I'm about to say,
I mean, it's bad.
I mean, not to make or break the deal, but I'm saying
I'd be better.
At least,
when I tried to FaceTime you yesterday for those hinges, we just barely got through that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I learned something, dude. If you'd asked me, do they make an 1.25 inch overlay hinge? I'd be like, heck no. What are you talking about?
Sure do.
When you see me that picture, I was like, good night. Look at that.
That thing got a hook on it, doesn't it, boy? I'm telling you.
Lee.
Yeah.
And Trey came in there and Trey's like, why do you have a random hinge on a plate? And I was like, well, I was trying to help Travis figure out what he was going to do and this and that. And I just kind of left it there. He's like, oh, yeah. Okay.
But so got that install and then got the other one on the 17th and the trophy case. So that's pretty much where I'm at. I mean, I don't have anything new. Didn't buy anything new. I almost bought that planer that I sent you. I mean, I was right there, but something I want to talk about. I got the software purchase to make, so I held off. I was like, no, let's put things in their proper perspective. So for those of you, we're going to talk a little shop. We're going to talk a little business for a minute.
What? On this podcast?
Yeah.
All right, fine.
On the rails for a second. Just for a second.
All right.
So for those of you who don't know, I've been running Mosaic software since Derek and I basically hooked up. And this software lets me do 3D renderings and lets me lay out, and then it gives me cut list and all this stuff for the cabinets. And Mitch has been running Pro 100 since how long? 5 years?
4 years.
4 years?
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of had this little difference of things. And the reason I didn't do Pro 100, I called Mitch when I first started and asked him what he was running. But Pro 100 has, so you basically buy it. It's a large, it's a good sum up front. I don't want to say large, but it's a good sum up front. But the good thing about Pro 100, once you buy it, you're done. Well,
that's it.
I didn't know how this was going to go. I wasn't sure. So I was like, well, I would just rather do the monthly thing, and I'll kind of do this monthly subscription with this software, and let's see how it goes before I dump a bunch into it. Well, I really should have done the math on it. After about a year and a half, I could have been into Pro 100 and done and clear. And I like Mosaic. I do. It's got some good features, but the customer support side of it's god awful and terrible. I mean, it really is. If I need a question answered today, there's nobody I can call. Like, you can call Mosaic and they'll sell you whatever you want to sell. But if you got a question about setting something up, you got to email the support team, and then it could be tomorrow. Now, it usually is within 24 hours when they give you a response, but I can't always wait 24 hours to.
You're down a whole day.
You're down a whole day. That's not that's not an option for productivity. So Mitch and I basically have talked, and I think the best thing for us to do to continue even with the podcast and continue to support each other through this thing is I'm going to jump on Pro 100 as well, because I think it would be stupid to buy a software that I don't know anybody who's running, and I got Mitch in my back pocket. I mean, just to be
Yeah.
honest with you, that's a selling point. That if the support can't get to me fast enough, I got somebody who probably can,
Yeah.
and it's really familiar with the program. And then also, I think the way that we're going to do it, I think we're going to be able to share some information.
I think it's going to be the same program.
Yeah, yeah,
Like we're going to be, within the same exact program,
yeah.
And
So,
there's ways. We'll deal with that later. But there's ways to separate it
yeah.
where we're not all up in each other's. Like I'm not going to go into one of your rooms and build a vanity.
But I'm super excited about it. I'm super stoked. I am absolutely terrified. How many conversations have we had where I'm like, "Hey, are you sure?"
Yep.
Because there's a
Yep.
comfort level. I mean, they both do the same thing at the end of the day. They really do. They just do them a little differently. I mean, we're kind of, I guess maybe a good comparison now would be like Mac and Windows. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna get the same thing done. Just you know, you're not going to do it in the same way. Your steps are going to be a little different. But I am super excited about it. I am ready to pull the trigger on it. These last little bit of things I've done, I've pulled off of Mosaic. I've done hard copy printouts and everything, so I don't have to redraw them in this little lull. But all I really have left is the trophy case that I've designed. So once I pull out, I'm good. I can start a new program. So I'm going to call him tomorrow and pull the trigger on that. But since I got to pull the trigger on that software, I didn't pull the trigger on a machine right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let's weigh this out.
And I think Cutlass Plus, you should just copy that off of mine and just move it to your computer too.
Oh, you think so?
I don't think you'll have to buy that. Mm-hmm. Because all I'm getting is another key,
Right.
right? So I don't think you'll have to. I don't think you have to buy Cutlass Plus. That'll save you a few $100.
Yeah.
And
Pro 100 is doing us right. I mean, I will say, I don't want to like talk numbers and get like, I don't want to risk getting anybody in trouble or anything, but I mean, he's doing us a good deal. So that we can, I don't want to say that so that we can push it, but I mean, I will, if it's something I like, I don't need a kickback on it. I mean, I will push it if it's something good that I like. But watching you and we've done a couple of like Zoom sessions, with you designing cabinets and kind of putting them together. I mean, we found out we build cabinets completely different from one another.
completely different.
I mean, couldn't be any different. But you know what's crazy about cabinets? And we've talked about this. How many times have we said this? There's not a right, there's not a wrong way.
Exactly.
Well, I guess there's not a right way. There's some wrong ways.
Yeah.
There's some wrong ways.
There's not a best way.
Yeah. They're just all a little different, I mean, it's just kind of what you're used to. Like, I mean, I'm used to like tons of dados, like dado, and I don't think you dado anything.
But my drawers, that's it.
Hardly, yeah. And I do, drawers and CA glue. We've already talked about CA glue. This last batch of drawers I put together, wood glue, I CA'd the corners, wood glue, CA'd the corners, and then slid my bottom in, tack. I was like, holy Moses.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you talking about life changing? I mean, not trying, because I don't like shooting nails. I don't, and pre-finished. So how do you build a drawer?
Well, I rabbet the front into the sides, and then I shoot nails through the front into the sides.
Oh, you shoot from
Same
the front?
way with the back. Mm-hmm. Yep. So you don't see them on the finished drawer.
I was shooting them from the sides.
Mm-hmm.
But even still, like sometimes it would pull through, or I was having time. It would slip, or like that ply is. Like you wouldn't hit a solid spot in the ply because do you do 1/2 inch sides? Yeah,
Yep.
I was doing 1/2 inch, and sometimes it would miss, or not miss, but just like hit a hollow spot in the ply. And
Right. Yep. Yep.
I picked up one before. I just had the piece that I picked up. I was like, what? What the heck just happened
Well, my
here?
thing was these freaking nail gun manufacturers will not make it. They'll make it so you can fire the gun with no nails.
I know it.
And I'm like,
Ticks
why
me
are we
off.
still doing this? Exactly. Like, do you have any idea what it would be like to nail a box together or something? And I've done it.
Oh yeah.
I've just went through there, man, and then go to move the box and the whole frame comes off. And I'm like,
Well,
okay.
and or
when
when
the
you
heck did I
realize
run
you
out
go,
of nails?
when did it fall out? When did it run out?
Yeah.
When did it? If there is a pneumatic gun on the market that will stop shooting when the nails are empty, let us know. I will buy 3 of them right now. I will.
I'm telling you. I've got one. Yeah, I've got one.
Do you?
And it's going to surprise you where it came from.
It's a Harbor Freight in it.
It's a Banks.
Really?
Yep.
Is that red and black? What's
Yeah.
the red? What's
Yeah,
the red
well,
and black one from
mainly
Harbor?
black, a little bit of red trim.
So I've got one of those, and it shoots. It shoots when there's nothing in it.
A nail gun?
Yeah, pneumatic.
I've got one. I'll have to go down there and look and see.
Yeah.
It may be a different
But
one.
believe it or not, my main nail gun is the Harbor Freight cheapest one. I mean,
Yeah.
and it. I mean, it
I'm
don't
telling
skip
you.
a beat. I mean, I was like,
Just like
Jesus,
anything else.
When is
you can
this
get a good
stupid
one or a
thing
bad
going to
one.
die? I mean, I'd kind of like a name brand one. I don't know why. I have no. I have no. Why would I need a name brand one? I don't know why. But I'm kind of
Yeah.
like, man, I wish this thing would die a little bit just so I
It
could
works,
do
it works, dude.
I know. I wish I knew how many nails it shot. I mean,
Oh, could you imagine? Man,
I mean, it's more reliable than a Glock. I'm just telling you.
But check out the Bostitch. I don't think they fire when DeWalt fires when you're out.
Yeah.
I can tell you that much. But if you don't have do you ever run pin nails 23 gauge in the shop for like little stuff?
So here's a very interesting story. So I bought a Metabo 23 gauge pin nailer. I think like the third day I dropped it and it broke.
Yeah.
It won't shoot a nail. I don't know what it broke.
I didn't want to say junk because I didn't know where you were going, but I too had a Metabo.
Yeah.
And that thing's horrible.
And I'm not
man.
going to lie. I was do the Amazon thing. I was going to order another one and swap them out and send the one that broke back. Cause I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, I didn't
Right.
I didn't drop it off like the roof or something. Like I dropped it, like trying to just put the air chuck on it and it dropped and no more air gun. And I way missed the window and nope. So no, I don't have a 23. I've got a battery powered one that I use on site sometimes,
Yeah.
but
The Ryobi one.
little bit Ryobi, yeah.
Dude, I love that thing. I love
Yeah.
it.
Now
Get
it's
a
picky on
Bostitch.
nails. It's picky
It
on
is.
nails.
Get
They
you a
won't shoot every
Bostitch.
brand.
No. And I tell you what, too. Well, you don't have to worry about it, but Worth sells a worthless brad nail. They don't chisel the points right, and there's no telling where that thing's going to curve.
Well, Worth is on my poo-poo list right now as a
mine
company.
too. Mine too.
Yeah. Because I'm looking for supply. I called the guy. We've been talking about doing business with him. Called the guy. I was like, hey, I have an opportunity to kind of try you out. What's your pricing on this? I still haven't received a phone call back. This is the second time.
That is freaking par for the course there,
Because
man.
Worth is who does the Orsi system, right?
Yep.
So when I tried to call about the Orsi system, they basically told me I was small potatoes. I don't want to deal with you.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, I really don't want to. I really don't want to stress myself with you.
I don't like them.
Yeah.
I don't. Now I get my paint through them, and I love the paint guy.
Yeah.
He is Johnny on the spot, buddy.
Yeah.
But like, I could go on for days. Anyway, I don't like it. And if you go to these cabinet groups and type Worth in, where it shows you a post about Worth or whatever, just look at the comments.
Yeah, it's probably pretty negative.
It's company wide.
I really want to call up there and just say, hey, is there any sales guy there that actually wants to make money off of an account?
Mm-hmm.
If there is, can you put me in touch with him? And I'm willing to give him a run because the 2 guys I have talked to previously basically don't give a crap about making any money off of me, whether it's little or big. And I've just never, if I'm a sales guy, and I think this cost me a job. I did a job interview with Kimber. I don't know if I told you about that, but I did a job interview with Kimber. And I think it cost me the job, and that's fine because my life has worked out since. But I basically told the guy that I think that there's a lot of opportunity in smaller shops to build the Kimber brand and to be a representative and show up for like dealer days and like be on site for, like shake hands and talk to people about the
Mm-hmm.
guns. And he basically said, well, I just don't know that those guys are worth your time. These bigger guys, they sell more. And I was like, but they're already selling. Your
Yep.
big guys are already selling what they're selling. If you get in with the little guys, you go to, if I go to Johnny's gun shop, okay, and Johnny really likes this gun, whatever it is, I'm probably going to get really into whatever gun Johnny likes because I like Johnny. That's why I'm at
Mm-hmm.
Johnny's shop. And so so anyway, it, I just don't understand why there's not a desire to make money off of every possible customer you could. Like,
Right. It don't cost them money. I would understand
exactly. That's what
if it
exactly. It
if
doesn't
it cost
cost you
them money.
anything. Yeah, it
Yep.
doesn't cost you anything to return my call.
Yep.
Like, I just
I don't understand it.
I don't get it.
And Buddy Vaughn Plywood, man, they're like, yeah, I called him the other day about trash pullouts. I told you about that.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, absolutely. Which one you want? Yep, we'll keep 2 of them here for you, man. That's literally costing them money because they're ordering something and paying
Yeah.
for it with the assumption that I'm going to buy it from them one day.
For sure.
And here you are saying, hey, I want plywood right now. Call me back.
That you carry. That you carry. It's not special order. It's just that you carry. I just need to get my hands on it. That's fine.
Yep.
I've already ordered it from a guy who took care of me. I mean, I wanted some 1/2 inch stuff, but I'll do it out of 3/4. That's fine. I'm probably
Yeah.
paying the same price for it anyway.
Yeah.
But so
Yeah,
that
they
brings
just-
me to a point that I wanted to talk to you about. And I know you had a point that you want to talk about, so I want to get to yours too.
I don't have a point.
Yeah, you did. You wrote something in the notes, but we'll talk. Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but this kind of brings me to a point that I wanted to talk about. And since we're kind of talking about in that pricing, that money scenario, I thought it was kind of a good thing to share with the group, when you're talking about pricing. And it was actually a lesson that was actually learned by my oldest daughter 2 nights ago, actually. So, a friend of hers that she goes to school with, she has a neighbor that's in Brentwood. So, it's about 30 minutes away from us, kind of like right below Nashville. But this girl's parents and this girl were all going to CMA Fest. So Nashville CMA Fest is going on right now. It's a huge. If you've never been to CMA Fest, you really should. If you like country music, you really should experience once, at least. But it's a big deal. But she normally babysits. But since she was going, she asked Taylor if she would like to babysit 3 kids. And Taylor likes to baby. She babysits a lot. And she's like, yeah, sure, I'll babysit. So she babysat 9 hours. 3 children. Came home at about 2 o'clock in the morning. Right?
Mm.
Her normal rate is $20 an hour for a single child. And then if there's an additional child, she does $5 an hour per additional child.
And that's way fair.
It is. I mean, now, like family, she really likes you. You're a repeat person. She'll do like 15 for the first and then 5. Like she'll come down a little bit. If you're, kind of got to be a reoccurring person. And that's fair. But here's what she learned. She didn't go into a contract negotiation or anything with these people before she showed up. She just kind of assumed that they were going to do the right thing and they were going to pay a fair rate. And so she does the babysitting gig, like I said, 9 hours till 2 o'clock in the morning, which I know she's about to be 20, but when she comes to your house, guess who else staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
Mom, not dad. I was asleep. Mom is around and, and stirring and trying to keep up with her, But so the next day I was like, hey, did you do good last night? That should have been a good paying gig. She's like, I hadn't got paid yet. She said, but the mom told me if it goes till Sunday or Saturday, I can't remember what day it was, to text her and just remind her. I was like, okay. So she got paid. I said, well, did you do good? And she goes, she paid me $150. I said, $150 for 3 kids for 9 hours? Like, are you serious? She's like, that's what she paid me. I said, did you talk about your rate beforehand? She goes, no, sir, I didn't. We didn't have a conversation. I said, have you responded to her yet? She said, yes. I said, thank you. I appreciate it. I said, all right. Well, that window's closed.
Yep.
Because if you hadn't responded, I was going to respond. I was going to tell her straight up, hey, this was a good deposit, but this is my normal rate. But the thing was, I was like, you did a job and you didn't discuss a rate. I said, this is like me building somebody a set of cabinets, showing up, installing them, leave, and saying, hey, just pay me, and hoping that they pay me what I think I should be paid.
Yeah.
And I
Yep.
said, the thing is, I was like, what is a good rate? This is almost like back to the question of what is fair taxes, right? What is a good rate? It's going to vary so much from person to person. But I was like, you've got to stand up for yourself. So you officially know what it feels like to kind of be screwed over. So you got to stand up for yourself, especially when it's a new customer, when it's a new client with this babysitting gigs, and say, all right, I would love to. This is my rate. If they balk at that and you feel it, you want the job and you need to negotiate, you want to back down on the rate, that's fine. You can do that. I was like, but you just learned a valuable lesson. And I hate that she missed out on the money. I really do. Now, probably 2 hours of this, and she's a good babysitter. So, she'll let the kids kind of stay up and but still 2 o'clock in the morning, she's on a 30-minute drive, little things like that. And I'm like, but I was like, you got screwed. I hate to tell you that, but babe, you got screwed, and you're going to have to, but what you're going to learn from this and what you're going to earn from this mistake is going to be a multiplier that we can't even put numbers on. Like,
yep.
you now understand that you have to establish a rate for your services, and you have to get that all accomplished. And I see it all the time, like on Facebook groups where people do, in the cabinetry or in the handyman groups where they post, and they've either done the work already or they've already agreed to the price for the work and they're going to do the work and they're wanting to know what they should charge. I'm like, what does it matter? It's too late.
It's built now.
You're locked in. What are you going to do? Do the build and go, you know what? I actually went to Facebook and I kind of asked the group, this cabinetry group that I'm in, and they all said I'm $1,000 under. So I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to go up on my price. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. So, it was just, it just kind of struck me as I'm glad it happened now. At 19, who gives a crap? Like, you got hosed, but it's not like you got real bills to pay.
Right. And it wasn't.
It's not like I'm going to charge you for the alternator that's gone out on your car and that Dad's got to replace tomorrow. Like, you don't actually have to pay for that. That was another reason why I was almost late. Yeah, the alternators. Mm-hmm. It's a 2005. It's still the factory. It's still the factory alternator.
You got your money out of it.
Yeah, but we got to put a new alternator in the all 4Runner. But I was like, let's just chalk this up. But now, do you understand why you have to be a voice for yourself? Because they hate when I say nobody loves you like you love you. Like, nobody is going to look out for you like you look out for you. I hate to say that. My wife is my number one cheerleader. She ain't going to look out for me like I look out for me. She just, she's just not.
And an opposite example, because there are different types of people in the world. We did, I'm not going to tell numbers, Trey, so don't worry, but we did those cabinets for Trey's mama at cost. Mm-hmm. All right, and I was sending text messages to Trey. I said, hey, your doors cost this much, your paint's this much, your hardware's this much, whatever.
Yeah.
And so we had a price, and I said, hey, tell her this is what she owes. Let's see, she gave us a, I don't know, probably a 40% tip. And I was like, she gave you how much? And he told me, and I was like, that's not what we agreed on. That's way too much. I said, why did she do that? And he was like, dude, I went in there and I told her what she owed us. And she said, I thought it was going to be this much, and pulled out that much money and gave to him.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
but not everybody,
no,
and your daughter learned not everybody's like that. There are
and
people that'll go the other way.
yeah, I mean, but which is kind of funny because about a week and a half ago or so, we had a big conversation about tipping, like at like restaurants and stuff. And her perception on tipping was, I don't know where she got it from. It was totally jacked up. And she's like, I mean, all they do is bring you your food. I was like, but they're making like $3 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have that the industry is based on you tipping. Like you have to tip. Like, and she's like, well, but all they did was bring me my food. And I was like, okay, so they didn't do an exceptional job. That so you don't have to give them an exceptional tip. But if they did their job adequately, you should at least be looking at 10 to 15%. I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
if they did it
Mm-hmm.
adequately, I was like, so everything that they do above that, you start looking at a better and a better tip. I said, because what you're going to learn is if it's a restaurant that you frequent a lot, like say our local Mexican restaurant, and I'm not trying to make this sound like a big wig or anything, but I consider myself a good tipper. I
Me
mean, I
too.
do.
Yep.
I try to be, I try to be 20% at good service. I mean, I
Yep.
really do. Now she's a college kid, so if she's in that 10 to 15%, I'm okay with that. But I know things are expensive, so I try to start at the 20% range. And if you come visit my table at least 3 times, you know, you're Johnny on the spot with the orders, and you know you're probably going to get 25 to 30% for a tip. But like I told her, I was like, these restaurants you frequent a lot, they're going to remember.
Oh, you better believe it.
I was like, and your service only gets better and better. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're like, oh, that's Travis and Kim. They come on Friday nights, and she's going to get a margarita. He's going to get a big Dos Equis. I'm going to show up to the table, or I'm going to walk by and say, jumbo margarita, big Dos Equis, and we're going to give a thumbs up, and then
Yep.
it's going to come. I was like, little things like that. I mean, we love our favorite waitress at our favorite Mexican restaurant is out with twins. And I don't know when the heck she's going to come back to work, but can you please come back to work soon? Like, I'd like to help you support your twins.
You've had a long enough
we
siesta.
we miss you. I mean, she just did awesome service, and she kind of knew our orders, like she knew our drinks, and she would kind of show up and do that. But I was like, but now you kind of understand what the restaurant, the waitress that you kind of shafted was like, really, $3,
Yeah.
three
Yeah.
dollars on a $10 order, like do better. If you and I told her straight up, I was like, look, if you can't afford to tip right, don't go out to eat.
Buddy, when I tell you,
I mean, she's like, I'm already paying $20 for the meal. I was like, so you should expect a $20 meal to cost you $30.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. Like
Sorry.
that's the way it
and
works.
these people that get on this, oh, my job to pay them. Okay, but here's the, and I'm not talking about your daughters like that. I'm just saying, like, these are grown people. These are 40-year-olds,
Oh yeah, yeah.
right? And they have this attitude of, well,
Wait,
I'm
is
not
40
supposed to pay
grown?
her. Not quite. Not
Okay.
quite. Yeah, still
I mean,
young.
I just
still
turned
a little young.
41, so I don't know that I consider that grown.
No, it ain't. It ain't.
Okay.
But they're like, well, ain't my job to pay her salary as a restaurant. Okay, well, guess what? You can either pay $20 for a meal and tip 10, or you can pay $30 for a meal and not tip at all.
Right.
But you know that going in, like that you are supposed to, if you don't want to tip, go to McDonald's, go to Hardee's, go to Arby's, if you don't want to have to tip. But I mean, come on, guys, we gotta, this mess here of that ain't my job to pay them. Then great, don't go.
Yeah.
But it's a slap in the face to use that waiter or waitress's time up, and for them to take care of you for an hour while you're there, and not give them something in return for it.
But now, hey, some of you people have gotten out of hand with these tip requests. I will say that.
Oh yeah,
Let me tell you something. Hey, Sonic, I'm sorry. This tip request for somebody just walking the food to the truck.
no,
I mean, I'm sorry. Like, you need to readjust your. That's not a waitress.
right.
That's a food runner.
And they're
that's
not getting $3 an hour either.
I don't know what they get paid. I mean,
They're
there's a
getting
whole
living
lot of
wage.
debate. They're okay. I mean, the Chinese. I went and picked up Chinese food tonight. Now, I love this Chinese Sunny China One. I love them, and they do phenomenal service. But it's mostly to go. I called in my order. I've stood here. I've waited for it. I picked it up. I don't understand what I'm tipping you for.
Right.
It's not, I'm paying for the food and I'm leaving. You're not coming. I'm not occupying your space. You're not
or your
continually
time.
serving me. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not occupying your time. Why are you asking for a tip? Like, hide it. That's kind of like some of these little places, like they'll oh, well, it's going to be a 3% surcharge for using your debit card. Don't just put it in the merchandise.
Yeah, really.
Just hide it in the merchandise and don't tell me that you're charging me. It makes me angry to be charged 3% just because I'm using my debit card. It bothers me none to pay 3 cents more per candy bar to cover the
Yep.
surcharge. Like, I don't want to pay for your cost of doing business, you
And
know?
this the same thing goes with this for parties of 8 people or more, 15% gratuity. Well, that's all you're going to get then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're
Unless you're really
forcing me
good.
to.
Now you're really good and you handle this mass that I brought in for you. Hey,
Yeah,
I'm behind you. Like,
yeah. But since you're making me pay 15% and I'm not in control of it,
yeah.
I'm just like, and when you go in there, most of the time with a party of 10 people, I mean, the service is just kind of,
How's it
you're
been?
like, hey, can I get some tea? Hey,
Yeah, yeah.
hey.
How's it been with Riley? Has she been stiffed? Has she really?
I tell you what, when she was waitressing, she could tell you exactly who was a good tipper and who wasn't.
Oh, really? Is she
Yep.
done with that?
Well, she changed jobs.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. Shoot, that's been a while back. She went to the local cafe,
Okay.
and they're like, "Do you want a waitress? Do you want it?" She goes, "Well, let me just start out washing dishes and making salads."
Oh, okay.
And then, like 2 months
At the
later,
same
they were
time?
like, "Yeah, yeah, just to get the salad wet, rinse it off." And then they were like, "Hey, do you want a waitress?" And she was like, "Nope,
Not really.
leave me alone. I will wash dishes and make salads. I ain't got to deal with them suckers out there. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm good. Leave me alone."
Okay. So
And
she
they
left
had,
the first place.
yeah, she let because they were horrible.
Were they trying to take
to-
advantage of her?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You
Yeah.
had to stay 30 minutes late every day and clean off the clock.
Nope.
Off the clock.
Nope.
And I told her, I was like, "Since when have you been doing this?" And she's like, "Well, since I've been there." And I said, "No, ma'am. If they're requiring you to stay there, they're required to pay you.
Yeah.
Period. They can't. You can't. I told Trey, I was
not
like,
waitress pay for that.
"That's right. That's right."
Like, that's not fair. You can't make tips off of that hour.
Trey,
So-
I said, "Trey, what would you do if I made you stay an hour after work twice a week and clean this shop off the clock?" He said, "I wouldn't be here."
Yeah.
And he said, "Riley, that's nothing personal against your dad,
Yeah.
but that's not. If I'm on
Nobody-
the clock, I'm gonna get paid for it." But this
Nobody-
place is way better, man. They treat her way better. They did have something to say about people, kind of asking for a lot of days off. And they said it was for another person, but I know Riley asked for a lot of days off.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Listen, ma'am, here's the deal. We homeschool, we run a business, and we do a lot of things." She is 16. She's asked off for church camp.
She's got the
she
rest of
asked
her
off.
life to work like a dog. She ain't
Yeah,
got to
and
do it
she
now.
don't have any bills. And it was a part-time. She's got a part-time job. Now, let me preface by saying that it's not a full-time job.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, she's going to be asking for days off. But when you need somebody Tuesday morning and you call her, she comes in.
Yeah.
And she's not in school. She puts her school off to the evenings to come in and help, do whatever. So, and they were like, "Yeah, we get that. It was mainly for this other person." I'm like, "Okay, but just know I'm watching
Yeah.
you."
I mean, I'm not so Carson is the youngest one. She's just got hired at the old Chick-fil-A, which I'm pretty proud of her. She did this all on her own. She did the application process on her own. She did the interview pretty much on her own. And I'm not big advocates of them working during school, just because I don't know how to put this where it doesn't sound weird or wrong, but I guess the adage of a parent is you always want to do, as a parent, you want to do more for your kids than your parents were able to do for you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, and that's not a slight on my parents. I mean, at all. I mean, my dad, hey dad, love you. I mean, he worked 2 jobs, 3 jobs for as long as I can remember. Like, just recently quit his second job. Like, has always put like family needs, family, whatever you guys need. I mean, I'll work for it. I'll provide everything you guys need. And I wanted for nothing as a kid. I mean, like, we had everything that we needed. I mean, had a great house, had a great life, and I worked, and I worked, but I worked. I don't know if I worked because my parents couldn't buy me a vehicle. I don't know if I worked just because my parents were not going to buy me a vehicle. I honestly don't know. I don't know what
Yeah.
the answer to that question was, but it was posed to me that if you want this vehicle, like my dad, they got the loan, for the old splash,
I remember it.
but I had to go make the payment every time, right?
Yep.
And I
Yep.
worked a ton, and I loved working. I've always been kind of a workaholic, really.
And I'm smiling, dude, because I remember that job that you had.
Yeah. Oh
I
God.
remember that, man. Those were good days, man.
Everybody gets a family discount. I mean, we had the best CBs in South Alabama.
And that might be why they're no longer.
You think I solely put out a chain?
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know, but I worked and I paid. I paid my gas, I paid my insurance, I paid my truck payment,
Yep.
and it taught me a lot. It taught me responsibility and everything. But it also, I don't know if I'm just this way or if it taught me this way. But like the first time I got suspended, and my and my dad was like, "Well, you're not sitting around here. You're going to work," and I was like, "I can get paid a whole day's pay."
Yeah.
Instead of just 3 or 4 hours after school. Heck yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
mind getting suspended from school. I
Yeah.
mean, I was like,
Backfired.
yeah, I was like, working is, I mean, I enjoyed working. Like, the working grind, but I don't want my kids to do the working grind. Like, they've got years of that
Yeah.
ahead of them. And my parents didn't force me to do the working grind, but I did. I mean, I did the working grind. So, I mean, when I was 14, I was driving that splash back and forth around town without a
Yep.
license to go to, but I could only go to work, you know. But you want your kids to do good. You want them to have these jobs. You want them to learn these lessons, I mean, you want them to learn, the value of a dollar,
Oh yeah. And that's one of Tommy's big things. It clicked on him, because little boys can be lazy, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
Little girls can be lazy too.
Yeah, I was too. But man, when that joker went and cut that guy's grass next to us, and he come back with a pocket full of cash,
Yeah.
he was like, "Makes sense, makes sense," And it kind of, but we're like I said, we have kids of our own, and we're looking at it from the parental perspective.
Yeah.
But when we were that age, we were all about work. Dude, our whole group of friends, like, we all had jobs. We didn't have,
Yeah.
there was nobody that, like, sat around all day and played video games. We didn't hang out with people like that.
There was one. There was
Yeah,
one.
it was one.
I'm just gonna say, there was one.
The majority of them didn't. There you go.
Well, so kind of segueing. So I didn't even realize this. Honest to goodness, through this whole thing, I just now looked back at the notes to see what you wrote, and you wrote bad menus and good tipping.
Yep.
How did we? I mean, mesh this perfectly together? I mean,
The
what
whole
is?
time you were talking, I was like, I can't wait to.
I know.
Tell
I
the
mean,
story.
I just realized. I was like, I got to get to, because I got one other story that I really want, and it's a short one that I really want to talk about. But I want you to talk about this bad menus and good tipping first.
So I think Trey enjoys us telling his stories of misfortune on the podcast.
Okay. And for those of you who don't like us talking about cabinets, guess what? We're pretty much done talking about cabinets.
Yeah, we're done. We're done. Turn it off. Or let it play in the background. Just turn it down.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's like, and we're both goofy nerds. I get that. We have our own little language and everything that other people think is ridiculous. So I get this text, and he's like, "Hey, pulling up to this Mexican place, man, doing a vibe check." And I was like, "All right, let me know, And he shoots me a picture of it, and he's like, "Let's see, the banner's falling down. They don't really have a name outside. It looks kind of like they just kind of moved into someplace from the 70s." And I was like, all right. So I don't hear anything out of a while.
Where's
After
he
a while,
at? Can I ask where's he at?
He's in Prattville.
Okay.
I don't know the name of the place, but apparently hole in the wall. All right. So he goes in there, and he goes,
It's only got two directions it can go.
yep. And it's quiet, and I'm like, it's either good or bad. So he gets
Yeah.
done, and he's like, all right, you sitting down. I was like, yeah. He goes, okay, because I got one for you. So, all right, let's hear it.
How loud is that?
It's pretty loud.
Is it
It's
pretty
going to
loud?
make somebody thirsty.
Good.
So he goes, so I walk in this place, right? And the lady that sat me down talked zero English, none. And I noticed the menu, and I read the name of the restaurant on the menu, and noticed that it was not the same restaurant. It was another restaurant's menu.
What?
It was like El Procreros or something, and he's at a totally, completely different
La
place.
Cucaracha?
Yeah, I mean, different city, different address, just like they went in and stole menus or something. Not a word on the menu was in English.
Okay.
Every bit of it was Espanol. So he was like, I'm kind of scared and I'm kind of excited at the same time, you know. So he wound up ordering some kind of beef rib or something. I don't know. Yeah, but
seems
he's
like
like,
an odd
dude,
choice.
he's like, dude, I'm telling you, they were delicious.
Okay.
He was like, they were delicious. I said, okay. So he
I
goes,
bet
all
you
right.
there
So
weren't no
it's-
Brangus beef ribs.
yeah, probably not. So he goes to pay.
$4.50 a rib.
And she's like, all right, well, here's what you owe me, you know, and whatever. And he goes, okay, well, here's a card. She runs the card, and she says, do you want a receipt? And he said, no, ma'am. And he goes, but I need to, do you have an option for a tip? And she's like, oh, a tip? Who tip? Me? You tip me? And he was like, yeah, you get a tip, you know. And she's like, oh, I know, we don't have. So their credit card machine, when it printed out the receipt, there was no option to leave a tip on the receipt.
Really?
So he was like, all right, well, I got cash in the truck. Let me go out there to the truck. He goes and grabs a $20 bill. And he comes in and she's counting out a bunch of ones. Remember, language barrier, big time language barrier.
Yeah.
These people aren't even used to getting tips. That's how authentic this place is. No chips, no salsa, no nothing. So
That doesn't sound authentic. That sounds like a ripoff.
well, they didn't Americanize it, you know.
Okay.
It was straight up. So anyway, he's like, well, you don't worry about the $1 bills. Just give me fives because I'm going to give you a $5 tip.
Okay.
And she's like, oh, $5. Okay. So she gets a $5 bill and hands it to him, and she puts the rest of it in the till. She was like, thank you. Have a good day.
So she tipped herself $5 and the restaurant 15.
No, she tipped herself $15 and gave Trey a $5 back out of a 20. He brought her a 20, and he was like, yeah, he was like, let's just do fives. And she's like, oh, five? Okay. So she gave him a 5 back, kept 15. And he's like, dude, I was like, it was awkward because I didn't want to like say no. Get this
I
one.
said, no, I'm sorry. Switcheroo. El switcheroo.
He called me. He was like, I spent $12 on the meal, and I wound up tipping 15. Now I don't have my emergency 20 in the truck. I got to go get another $20 bill.
Oh, God.
But he said, dude, the food there was, I mean, absolutely fantastic. So, of course, now we're going to go because that's our thing is Mexican restaurants. Yep, lesson learned, and you better bring some cash.
Yeah. How are you on cash? Are you a cash guy? Do you keep a lot of cash on you?
I don't
Very
keep
little
a lot.
cash.
Okay. I try to keep a minimum in my wallet, but I don't keep like hundreds of dollars.
Gotcha. I'm a pretty no cash person.
Mm-hmm.
Son of a
One
biscuit.
more time.
I know.
One
right?
more time.
I mean, the thunderstorm passed through, but I'm still trying to recreate it here on this desk. I have very minimal cash usually. I mean, and what is it about children and wives that can smell cash?
Dude, what are you talking about?
Like you walk into a room and they're like, I smell a $5 bill.
Yep. Hey, you got any cash?
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if I take all the cash out of my wallet, she'll never ask me, do you have cash? As soon as I slip a 20 in there,
Yeah.
all of a sudden now she's like, hey, you got a couple dollars cash? You got some cash? You got any cash? I was going to get this. I was just going to run in and get a drink. Yeah, dude, they can sniff, man, they can sniff it. And it bothers Tammy so much because I be hustling
Right.
on the side. I got stuff going on she don't know about. Next thing you know, I got a few $100s in my wallet. And she's like, where'd you get this? Like, she's mad about it. And I was
I
like,
hear
what
that
you
all the
talking
time about my Venmo account. Oh, I see what's in your Venmo because it's attached to the business. She's like, I see what's in your Venmo. I'm like, that's fine. You see what's in my Venmo. That's the stash. Like that's the tool stash. Like or the whatever stash. Like you know.
And she's like, "Where'd you get this from?" I was like, "I did something and got money."
Yeah.
Well, who gave it to you? I said, "That's none of your business.
Don't worry about the
None of
corner
your
I work on.
business."
It ain't
That's
the
right.
corner.
I did that on
It's
my
my
own
corner.
time.
Don't be trying to. Are you trying to impede on my turf? You want to work my corner? This is my
That's
corner.
right.
You
Because
know.
I don't ever ask her how much soap. Ooh, excuse me, got choked up. Soap money she's got,
Did
or
you get
anything.
emotional about it?
Yeah, I'm getting emotional about my cash now. I'm just my
Right.
cash. But yeah, I was like, I leave your soap money alone. You leave my cash alone. Whatever I do, I do.
All right. So I'm gonna let you choose high end or doing the right thing because we only got time for. I don't know. We probably got time for both stories.
What time is 8 o'clock? I gotta get up at 5.
1:55. We're at 1:55. An hour 55. All right. So I'm gonna do them both. I'm gonna do them quick.
All right, let's go.
So I'm at the plywood shop the other day picking up materials, and this guy's in there talking to the plywood guys, and he's like, do you guys know any contractors, any cabinetry makers that might be interested in? So do you remember the Nashville bombing? I think it was 2 years ago, Christmas Day, the bombing that happened in Nashville. So they're just now getting around to kind of doing the remodels for those. He's like, I've been awarded a couple of these buildings, and I'm looking for contractors. And one of the guys was like, Travis, do you know anybody? And I was like, nah, not really. Because these fly-by-night guys, like, I don't want anything to do with them. Like,
Right.
You're in town and you're looking for contractors. You're a fly. I don't want to deal with you. So I was like, I don't know. Nobody that I know of. When there was this other guy in there, he's like, well, we might be interested. And the guy said, well, what do you do? He's like, well, we do, high-end cabinetry and, this and that. And I looked at the guy that worked there at the plywood place. And I was like, have you ever heard anybody say they do low end?
Yeah.
And he's like, and he just kind of paused for a second and he looked. He's like, nope, never heard that before. I was like, what? It's kind of like, so I always equate it when I hear that to like the person that's on like Facebook. Hey, we're looking for recommendations for a good
Cheap.
such and such. Well, obviously a good such and such. Nobody's going to
Yeah.
recommend you a crappy such and such. I mean, what do you mean? I mean, do you ever see a request for a mediocre? Hey, I'm looking for a mediocre chiropractor. Does anybody know of one? Like, everybody's like, does anybody know of a good chiropractor that I can go visit?
I hate that.
It's like, but I would like to pay. Well, those don't go together, But I
Yep.
always just laugh when people say, well, we do high end cabinetry. I'm like, I just do the best to my ability cabinetry. I don't know if it's high end or not. I don't know. I don't know what's the range. I just do the best that I
Yeah.
can and
I'd be
charge
like,
what
well,
I
heck,
think
man,
is.
this whole time I've been just building trash.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to try high-end cabinetry.
high end. Oh, I thought I was on the low end. I was trying to just do Section 8 cabinetry. That's all I was interested
and then
in.
you'd be like, you buy your wood from here too?
Yeah.
Wow. Maybe
Well-
I do high-end.
Oh, wait a second. I mean, but have you ever thought about that when people say stuff like that,
Oh, here's-
just those, they want to throw those like key words in there. And it's like, well, no crap. Who does? I build low end furniture.
Yeah.
I mean, you might as well just say, I go to IKEA, I pick crap up and I bring it to your house and I put it together. Like that would be low end furniture. That's assembling. That's not building furniture. That's assembling furniture.
Do you ever watch those Letterkenny shorts? And did you see the one with the IKEA guy showed up with the thing and they were ribbing them about it's funny.
No,
Anyway,
no.
here's the people that I can't stand on Facebook. Hello. I'm looking for a late model SUV. Must be 3 rows, must have leather, low miles, one owner, in great shape for a really cheap price. Let me
Yes.
know if you hear anything.
I would like
And
to
I'm
pay
like-
$10,000 for it.
Yeah, I want to pay $1,500 for a Cadillac with 2,000 miles on it. Don't we all, lady?
Right.
Don't we all?
Right.
It's like, what do you mean you want a good car for cheap? Like, do you think we're all idiots? I'm like, well, shoot, maybe I should have said good car for cheap, and I would have got a better deal.
Yes.
It's like, it's ridiculous.
Well, I feel like if you're going to recommend somebody, they did you a good job, right?
Yep.
I don't care what it is. The guy that put mulch in the flower beds, the guy that fixed a sprinkler head, the guy who did the roof, the guy who did the cabinets, whatever it is. If you didn't do a good job, I'm not going to recommend you.
Right.
I don't need you to ask for the best or the whatever. That's implied in a recommendation, people. When you ask for a recommendation, you're recommending somebody because they did a good job. It just
Yep.
drives me nuts. I mean, it really does.
Yeah, these people, man, these folks on Facebook, they irk
Oh,
me.
yeah,
What was that post today? I posted something today. Did you see what I posted today
I
by any
did.
chance?
I can't remember now.
It was how to vent on Facebook.
Oh,
Step
yeah,
one,
that was perfect. Don't.
don't. We are all either depressed, divorced, broke, or fat. It's not just you.
Yeah.
It's like, quit. And we've talked about people that got on Facebook to do nothing but complain about something. Their
Well,
whole post,
and
and
we
it's just
have one
like,
friend, and I know that she is not listening, so I don't really care. But I mean, it is just always the
I wasn't
sky
gonna
is
say
falling. I mean, it is just always. And I'm like, how do you have the time? If your life is this is this bad, and you are so busy and you are so tired, how do you have time to pull out for your phone and post it to Facebook?
it
Like,
ruin everybody else's life.
right? All right, so. Last story. I'm going to wrap it up with this because we're 2 hours in. But
Let's
I
go.
think this is one of those things that I think is important to talk about, and it's key to it's a key part of our theme, and in the way that we've talked, and I'm not going to lie, I had an opportunity to not do the right thing, and I thought about it for a second. I really did because this was not a small issue. This was a pretty big issue.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm at an install, and I do the install. Everything goes smooth. It's a pretty small install, and it's a bench with some storage drawers in it. And I brought the top in two different pieces. And I just wanted to. I was going to join them together and bondo them together. So we had a seamless joint. But I was doing the install by myself, so I didn't want to bring in this giant sheet of MDF. And I knew both ends were probably going to have to be scored to the walls, so I kind of cut it in half. So I do the install, get the bondo in, go to sand, plug up vacuum, plug up sander, nothing. That's very weird, right? That the outlet doesn't work. Okay, I'm going to think about this for a second. Find another plug, works, get everything sanded down. So now I've kind of got the dilemma. I can leave because I'm done, or I can ask the customer, do you know any reason why this outlet might not be working? And I didn't want to. This was a really small job. Like it really wasn't that much money. It was supposed to be a quick in and out. I really didn't want to have this conversation with the customer. I'm not going to lie. Like and I only am trying to deeply dive into this. I'm not trying to boast myself as like this good guy or like the ultimate goodness of me won in this situation.
Yeah.
I'm really just trying to show the human side of me. And because I think the human side really just wants to pack your stuff up and go and pretend like whatever you think is going on didn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, I just can't because for one, this lady is super nice. She's been super, just a super customer. She's been a repeat customer, and and also like I've been in business long enough to know that all that's going to happen is I'm going to get a phone call when I get home. When this customer goes to turn on their TV tonight in this room, and she says, "Hey, do you know any reason why this TV doesn't come on?" No, I don't know. I mean, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
So, and they've got a relatively young child. So I go downstairs and I'm like, "Hey, is there any possibility?" Which I knew this was a slim chance, that you guys have the outlets turned off in this room for some particular reason. No, we just had an electrical inspection. So, no, I mean, everything's good in there. Why? That's what I was afraid of. I think I have hit a line.
Yeah.
She goes, "Oh, what does that mean?" I said, "Well, I have put a screw in your electrical line and I've shorted the system." I said, "Do you have access to your breaker panel? And do you mind if I look at it?" She's like, no, I don't mind. It's a relatively new house. Go look at the breaker panel. Bonus room. Yep, it's tripped.
Mm.
Yep. Yep. I mean everything I suspected was 100% on track. So what do you do now? So I go upstairs and I kind of looked for a second. I said, I scratched my head, real real hard. I looked sideways a couple of times. You know, I said, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to back out every other. And what was funny is I remembered one screw when I put it in. I remembered getting this weird, like the
Yep.
drill did something weird, but
Yep.
it was so fast and so short. I didn't really think a lot about it. I mean, I honestly didn't. And I was like, I think that was right in this area. I mean, it's only like a 14-foot stretch. I mean, what a big stretch. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I think it's this screw right here. Like, like in the back of your mind, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I said, but I think it's this one. So I'm going to back this one out and I'm going to back out every other screw from here. Right. So I do that, go downstairs, flip the breaker stays on. So go back upstairs. I mean, I can't do any more damage.
Go to the truck.
So I
Go to
so
the
I run
house.
so I run the first screw, nothing. So I turn the light on this time, the overhead light,
Yeah.
because and I don't think this is the code, but the light and the switches were on the same breaker. I don't think that's right, but whatever. Light stays on. Run the next screw, light stays on. So I run all the screws, get to the one that I suspected it was it, and it's the last one to put in. I said, nope. Pulled it all the way out, little bitty burn mark on the tip of it. I was like, well, this is the culprit. So now what do you do?
Is it a base cabinet with doors on it?
They're drawers. It's a bench. So it's just a
Okay.
bench with drawer storage, like toy chest storage. I'm sorry, lady.
Well, in a remodel, it's a little bit different than new construction. New construction, I pull the cabinet, cut the sheetrock out, tie on the new wire, put a junction box in, run it down to the outlet, and move on.
Yep. Yep, that's what I would do too, but this is an occupied home. We're post construction.
And you can still do the same thing. So you go up. You're going to have to. Well, whoever fixes it is going to go up some from where you hit it. They're going to cut up. They're going to cut a box in, a junction box, and tie a new wire. Run a new wire from there to the plug. Or if they got enough slack, they can tie it together in the cut the burnt spot, tie it together in the junction box, put it in, and put a flat cover over it.
So that's what I did. So I pulled a junction box underneath the cabinets, tied it, retied it together, and we moved on. Cost me a little bit of money, a good bit of time. I mean, it's not a quick thing,
Right.
but I know that it's done. I know that we're good. Yep. I know that we've done the right thing. I know that I, saw their problem. I didn't leave her hanging with a TV when her husband came home that night to do the project, that her husband's not going to turn their TV on in their bonus room and nothing happens. Like,
yeah. And I'll tell you what it is for me.
It sucked. It sucked all the way around, guys. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not trying to talk about being a hero or like that. I had to coach myself more through this than I'm proud to say that I had to do. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about like a $1,200 job. Like I didn't want to be there. I mean, this was bam, bam, out, collect your money. Like, we're all good. Let's roll to the next job. And then you do this, but when I got done, she's like, you know what, you guys, she goes, we have a lake house as well. She goes, you guys, we're dealing with 7 contractors right now for different things. She goes, you guys are the only ones who will answer the phone. You're the only guys that will call us back and will coordinate with us. You're the only ones that will show up when you say you're going to show up. And that's why I did it. That's because that's who we try to be, and that's what I want somebody to do in my house.
Yep.
That's ultimately the reason why I decided to do the right thing. I, and
So
I don't know if that makes me sound like a bad person, but I think it makes me sound like a real person, and at the same time,
yeah, and I think a lot of that comes back to being the owner of the business, or at least like Trey would do the same thing, and he
yeah,
doesn't own our business. I think what it is you have enough pride and want to, as we call it down here, for your business
yeah,
that you're like, if I don't say anything, it could potentially come back and I wouldn't feel right about it as the business owner.
yeah.
Because I guarantee you, if you hated your job, right, and you showed up at these people's houses and you were dragging something up the front porch and you chipped a brick and you absolutely hated your job, you wouldn't say anything.
No,
No chance. But being in a leadership role, or like Trey's 50% of the company, you know what I mean? I mean, it's being in a role like that, your mentality I think is different. And I hit a water line, dude, in one of Jason's houses, and I was like, I ran that screw through the wall, and it was like I went through a piece of rubber. Like the drill kind of acted weird, and I ran that screw, and I looked, and I told the guy there, I was like, 100%, I just hit a water line.
yeah,
100%. And I pulled the screw out, and the water started shooting 10 feet out of the hole. Luckily the water wasn't turned on, but I went to freaking out, and I hollered for the builder, and he came in there, and he's like, "Oh shoot."
Do you
But the
run the?
first thing,
Is it better just to run the screw right back in? Have you ever thought about that?
sometimes,
Like I see
yeah,
that happen, and I'm like, what do you do in that panic situation? Because I almost think it'd be better just to run the screw back in and see if
well,
you can hit the hole.
yeah,
Yeah,
I knew the water was turned off. What I wasn't thinking about was how much pressure was in, because they
yeah,
pressure
it's
test.
still pressure tested.
So immediately, and it wasn't my job that I was doing. I was screwing the sheetrock to the wall,
Oh,
where the sheetrockers just forgot this entire section, and I had to put cabinets there. And
yeah.
Jason's like, "Will you just screw that to the wall?" I was like, "Yeah, no problem." Zing, zing, zing. I'm running through.
Problem.
Yep. And they cut a stud about chest high, because that's where the water was. They cut a stud. So
Huh.
it was 16. That pipe was 16 on center. The stud finder picked it up, and I ran a screw right through it.
No
And I was like,
plate. Should have had a plate on it.
no plate. Oh, there's not even a stud. Like, they were like, wow, this stud is right in line with where the water pipe's coming up. We'll just cut the stud off. We won't move it over. We'll just cut the stud.
Wow.
So that's why I went through it. First thing I did was I took my zit and I started cutting out a huge piece of sheetrock. And I got the sheetrock off, and I slammed the bucket up under there, and I let it drain in the bucket. I'm getting sawdust from the vacuum cleaner. I'm dusting everything to try to, because you have to control the moisture at that point.
Right.
You know,
I mean, you know a thing or two about moisture.
yeah. At the end of the day, the guy goes up and cuts it where I put the screw in and puts a coupling there, crimps it on, and he's done. It was a
Yeah.
20-cent fix.
Yeah.
The sheetrock, I had enough gumption to keep the sheetrock cut below the cabinet. So we just cut the hole out, put the cabinet against the wall, and put it against the wall. It wasn't
No
an
big deal.
exterior wall or anything. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
Stuff happens, man, and stuff happens whether it's your fault, somebody else's fault. But that little bit bought you guys a lot more business, and grace covers a multitude of sins.
Yeah.
So if they're
I
like,
need it.
if he does screw up, he's going to own it.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things, I mean, I don't know if the statute of limitations has passed on this or not, but I'll tell the story real quick. So, when I was in law enforcement, we had a guy that ran from us, and he and I arrive on the scene, and I kind of find where he's at, and I chase him down. And long story short, it's like this super swampy area, um, around the north end of the county, maybe at the rest stops, you know,
Hmm.
at the rest stops there. And as I'm chasing him, I kind of go into this mud pit, and I'm about chest deep in mud.
Mm.
And this guy, this bad guy who we found a bunch of dope and some guns on, is standing on dry ground. And I pull my pistol and I fire off to the right. And I tell him to, get on the ground and, I swear to God, do not move. I was like, you come, because I mean, he could have teed me square in the teeth. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm in the mud. I mean, he could have squared me in the teeth and I'd have been done. And anyway, so we got him arrested, got done. And I went up to my supervisor. I was like, hey, I just want you to know I did fire a shot. Like, and I did tell him, you better get on the ground. He's like, why are you telling me this? And I was like, because later in life, something is probably going to happen that you're going to ask me, did I do it? And I just want you to know that I'm trying to be the right person to tell you that I did do it. So
Yeah.
if I have to tell you that I didn't do something, that I've got enough credit built up that you say, well, you know what, when he screws up or he does a questionable, I mean, it wasn't the wrong thing to do, but it wasn't necessarily the right thing to do. I mean, we're also talking almost 20 years 20 years
Yeah.
ago. I mean,
Yeah.
times are way different now, but um but I'm trying to build enough credit with you that when you ask me something that you believe the answer that I'm giving you, and I think business is a lot the same way where I want to build this credibility where people say, you know what, he didn't do a perfect job. This was wrong. This screwed up. This didn't work right, but you know what? He stuck with it. Kind of like going back to the Murphy bed and that customer that was being such a pain. It was like, well, we're not going to allow you back in the house or whatever. And I was like, no, well, I'm going to go back to the house. I'm going to
Yeah.
make it right. Whatever we got to go through, whatever I got to suck up and not say, or whatever kind of ridicule I got to listen to while I'm on site, we're going to make it right. And he can complain about every facet of the job, but he's not going to be able to say that the job wasn't right.
Right.
And we just try to do that. But I just kind of wanted to share the story because I, after I kind of processed through it all, and I kind of thought, man, it's just not as easy to do the right thing as some people claim it is. You
Yep.
know, I
Yep.
mean, it's because if it is, we wouldn't have criminals, right? It's much easier to live in the confines of the law than it is to break the law and constantly be looking over your shoulder, right? But doing the wrong thing sometimes feels like the easier way. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I mean, it's easier to go steal this item that I want than it is to go work a 40-hour week to pay for it.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're fallen creations.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've said it a couple of times. I mean, we both have strong Christian backgrounds, and we're not going to shy away from those. I mean, I'm not going to preach to the audience, but I mean, but we both agree that we're fallen creations, that we constantly are looking for redemption for the things that we do, and I think part of that is finding the inner energy to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
That it's just not always that easy. So I just hope that maybe that will inspire somebody when they're down, when they're tired, they've had a shitty, crappy day, and you're just like, man, I don't have it in me today to do the right thing. To remember that wrong thing that you did is still going to be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like,
It's not going away.
it's really not going away. You're just waiting on somebody to find it, whether it manifests tomorrow, whether it manifests in a week. And and that doesn't mean that because you make a mistake that you did the wrong thing. Like, own up to, okay, so it's a month from now and you find out that something happened, whatever it is, and the customer calls, okay, own up to it, fix it. It sucks. Don't I promise you. I went through a water issue during a remodel that every time the customer's name popped up on the phone, I cringed. I was like, oh my God, are you serious? But I showed up every time. And
Yeah.
I showed up and I showed up and finally got it resolved. And, and I mean, and just begged for mercy from the customer. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was like, and the last time that I went, I said, look, I've done everything that I know to do. If this doesn't fix, I'm calling in somebody else at my expense. Like, we're just at that point. But it's easier. I will admit it's easier for some people just to do the right thing. Like, that just sheds off of them. They're like, no big deal. This is just part of the process. And I'm not that person. Like, I want it to flow like it's supposed to flow. Like, I want the job to go in. I want to get paid. I want to leave. I want to move to the next job. And I only want to hear from that customer again in reality is if they want more work from me.
Yep.
Like, and I don't mean that in a negative way towards the customer, but I feel like that if I don't hear from a customer, I did a good job, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But I don't know. It was just one of those times where it was kind of a gut check. I mean, it just really felt like a gut check.
Well,
I mean,
I had
that,
one. I had one last week. Speaking of that, where this lady's fan, the lights on her hood vent. You know, of course, we order those, but the builder called me and said, "Hey, you got any idea what might be?" I said, "Yeah, probably just a junk switch or something." You know, I said, "I'll go by and look at it." And the builder's like, "Nah, don't worry about it. I got to go back by there anyway and look at something, whatever. I'll check it out." Well, I never heard anything. Fast forward, my wife really loved her flooring. So she goes, "Hey, can you," because the builder remembered what it was that's in our price bracket. So Tammy's like, "Can you message her and see if she'll send you a picture of her flooring?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so I called her and I said, "Kind of weird, but my wife really likes your flooring. We're building a house, you know, whatever. Sam's building it for us. Do you mind shooting a picture of it so we can kind of verify it's what we remember?" She's like, "Got you one better. I'll shoot you a video." Now, she's 6 months post getting cabinets.
okay.
I dropped the cabinets off. I got paid. Ain't heard a word out of her. She ain't sent me a friend request, whatever, nothing, right? So she's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, you know, how's everything else going? She wound up sending me a video of the flooring." So I said, "How's the cabinets doing?" She goes, "Well, I got one that it's like the hinge is loose or something. I don't know. It's just kind of wobbly." I was like, "Okay." And I said, "Well, how come you didn't tell me?" "Well, really, be honest with you, I don't use it a whole lot and I kind of don't think about it." I said, "Okay." She's like, "Well, you know, whenever whatever, if you want to come." I said, "I'm free this afternoon," because I didn't have anything going on. I said, "I can be down there this afternoon." She said, "Oh, great. Well, I'll be there about 1:30. I'll text you." I said, "Okay." So we went down there. And what it was the builder made the mud bench. And he made the cubbies above it out of like, I don't know, 5/8 MDF.
Okay.
So the screws that were holding the doors, you know, the plate that we mount to the frame, it's like thin MDF. They weren't holding.
Yeah.
So I had to take the screws out, pre-drill, and run a bigger screw in and fix it. And I told her, I was like, "Hey, I got that fixed." It was like 10 seconds, dude. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, "Great." Oh, and also, you know, while I'm thinking about it, I got a drawer. It's like it comes out and then it kind of hangs up and then it goes in and it kind of hangs up right before it goes in and right before it comes all the way out. And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'll tell you exactly what's wrong with it." I pulled the drawer out and, you know, I use the adjustable brackets in the back.
Uh-huh.
So I reached back and I tapped the right one over a 16th, fixed it. She's like, "That's all it took?" I was like, "Yeah, they're adjustable." And I said, "Let me ask you something." I said, "Be honest with me. Don't you lie to me." I said, "Did you run into this drawer?" She said, "I did." She said, "It was open and I came through the kitchen and her shirt got hung on the hardware."
She snatched it sideways.
Yep. And it racked the drawer and so it got the guides out of alignment. And I said, "No problem. Here's how you fix that if that ever happens, you know."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Great." I mean, in 1 minute, I did basically 2 service calls. Now, neither one were my fault.
Right.
But I didn't call the builder and say, "Hey, you need to, you know, I had to fix this for you," or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We don't do that. I just go and fix it because it helps him. It helps me. It helps our businesses. It helps society, everything. And so I looked at the light switch. I said, "Yeah, you do have a bad light switch in there." I took a video of it this time. Remember all that crap I had to go through last time?
Yeah. For that
I
warranty.
took a stinking video of it. And I attached that joker in the email. And I said, "You can see I'm working the switch and the lights aren't working. If I wiggle the switch, the lights come on." Dude, I sent him an email. About an hour later, I get a response. "Hey, we're sending you a brand new unit." And now that unit is on my table saw. Down there, they sent it in.
Nice.
So all I got to do is go out there and swap it out.
Swap it out.
But yeah, things like that. I mean, I could have
Because
sat
people
there
want
and
to build a
said,
brand new house and have stuff in it that doesn't work. They love that.
"That's right." And I could have said, "Well, really, the builder needs to do something different. He don't need to. Well, really, we should. Well, really, you ran into the drawer. Well, really." It's not worth it, guys. Yeah. It's not. If you have a hill to die on, then die on that hill. But this little stuff we're talking about, she's 15 minutes down the road, dude. And she was She was an absolute just gem of a customer, man, just happy. And she told me, that's the one that told me, you were the contractor I was most nervous about.
Oh, is that one?
That was her.
Yeah.
I was more nervous about dealing with you than anybody else, and you were the easiest one.
Yeah.
Like anything I wanted, you're like, yep, yep, let's do it. And it all came out perfect.
Well, I just thought it necessary to not, because I feel like some people may think that we try to pose ourselves as these people that know all the right answers and that we know like the perfect way to conduct business, and that, you know, if everybody in the world conducted business the way that we do, it would be a perfect world. And that's not the case. I mean, that is just strictly not the case. I make bad decisions all the time.
Yep.
I have inner struggles with the way to do things and the way to do things right, and to sometimes look at a board and go, you know what, I really need to recut that thing, instead of spending 30 minutes on going, well, if I do this, this, and this, it'll fix it. Nobody will ever know the difference. I have those same, and I'm not going to speak for you. Like, I mean, I know what your answer is, but I'm not going to speak for you. But I have those struggles. I have those struggles to do the right thing. But here's the reality of it. Sometimes those right things cost time and they cost money that you do not have. It just does, and it sucks and it hurts. But the 15, 20 minutes, hour, whatever it is to do it right and to fix it is still going to be less time and less headache than doing it on the backside. Like, if I have to delay a customer for some reason because I'm making it right, I feel like that is going to go over way better than when I have a customer nagging at me because they found something that I did wrong and they're just chirping down my throat. You're risking that. Some customers are not going to do that. They're just going to take it and they're going to be nice and they'll be kind. But you get the one that chirps at you, just drives you nuts because you did something wrong. Yep. You grow to resent that customer, and really there's nothing to resent about them, because all they're wanting is the value for what they paid,
Yep.
And so I just wanted to share that I don't think that I'm a perfect business operator or that I do things perfectly. I've built some bad stuff. I've built some stuff that I wish was better. It's all been to the best of my abilities at the current time. Don't get me wrong. Like, I've never intentionally, I can't think of anything I've intentionally built that's crappy. Yeah. That I say, it's whatever. This will work. I've never said that. I've never said that about a job or about anything. It's been to the best of my ability. Now, maybe my ability is not to Mitch's ability. Maybe Mitch's ability is not to, Wonder Perfect Cabinets, or whatever, company you want to look at. But I don't feel like that. I know I've definitely never set out to intentionally rip somebody off.
Right.
But that doesn't mean it's not a challenge.
Yeah, and that stuff will stick with you, man. And it's the same for anybody who does anything. I mean, if you just, because, dude, that's the mistakes I've made. And I have been back there in that paint shop 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, painting doors. I mean, sweaty, hot, tired, mad.
Yeah.
And I'll see a spot on one of those doors, and I'll be like, I'm not going to repaint it. I'm going to leave it. They'll probably never see it, But, dude, then I get down to the front, and my brain is like, you're loading those doors up tomorrow to take them. Now's your last chance. If you're going to fix it, and I will have a 15-minute battle with myself on whether or not to go sand one stupid door. Which is half of the time
that would have took to fix it.
Exactly. And eventually just my conscience is just like, what's it worth, man? What's it worth? Because I let something go one time, dude, when I first started, that was, I honestly didn't think it was an issue. Like, I knew it was there, but I was like, that's standard issue stuff, man. That's fine.
Yeah.
And I got to kind of teasing around with the homeowner, and I said, well, I won't tell nobody. You did this or whatever. Don't worry, secret safe from me. I ain't gonna tell nobody. If that's just kind of the way you want to do stuff, whatever. And she's like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. And she pointed to that freaking seam on that cabinet.
Ah,
And she's like, oh, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And turned around and looked at me and walked off. And I was like, ooh, ooh. So, we route that finished in. We put a V groove right where the frame meets the carcass.
mm-hmm.
Well, I would just route it and paint it and ship it. From that day forward, I have caulked every single one of them.
Oh, really?
Because there was a hairline gap where that cabinet met that face frame. There was a tiny, just a fraction. And it looked really rough from the router bit because the router bit was getting dull, and it was kind of chippy looking, kind of rough looking.
Yeah.
Freaking, and I was being smart, dude. I wasn't being ugly. We were kidding around. You know what I'm saying? Like, I forget what it was. But she's like, yeah, it's kind of like this thing right here. And she looked at it and looked at me, and I was like, and I realized the customers do notice things like that.
They do.
They may not always say it, but they may notice it, And so, and it's kind of a learning opportunity where just because you think it's fine, you got to step back and realize that these people are paying tens of thousands of dollars.
Yep.
And they paid, if that's a $30,000 job, they paid $30,000 for that one seam.
Yeah.
Is how they look at it. That one door that's messed up, that one cabinet that's crooked, that one whatever it is.
Would you really be right. Okay with it if it was your house?
Exactly.
I mean, that's really the question.
Yep.
And I understand that is a hard question to answer because people are completely different in the things that they are satisfied with in their homes. Like, I mean, that they expect in their homes. So I understand, so I guess that's where your quality control can vary from manufacturer, from cabinet guy to cabinet guy, is what they are willing to accept in their own home. I mean, I guess that's the only way to measure it,
And the place I used to work at, dude, I can tell you, their no-go range was tiny.
Yeah.
I mean, and after I spent so long looking at paint jobs, I could go on a lot and look at a Ford and look at a Chevy and go, this is garbage, man. Look at the orange peel. Look at the dirt in it. But when I was in that world, I was like, you guys are being ridiculous. No way somebody's going to see this, But their standards were just higher on what they would let go and not go. And it's the same thing. I mean, look, dude, we all let stuff go. I'll chip out when I put hardware in a drawer. I drill for that hardware. You ever had the plywood chip a little bit? Dude, I ship it. It's on the inside of a drawer. I'll ship it. Charlie is really weird, by the way, on what he'll let go, what he won't.
Really?
Because something that will never matter, way inside a cabinet or something that nobody can ever possibly see, he's like, are you going to let that go? I'm like, yeah. But then something on the outside of the cabinet, he's like, oh, I ain't never had nobody call me out on that. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But anyway, unfortunately, we got to wrap it up because my wife just got home with my supper.
Oh, I understand.
She's been with her daddy.
Oh, I've seen a couple of posts.
Yep. We'll see how that works out.
I know it's not good.
Yep.
Well, they're in our thoughts and prayers. Hope everything works out there. I know that's been a rough road, but
yeah.
Well, guys, it's been a little over 2.5 hours. We appreciate you tolerating us and listening. I know sometimes it varies. We're kind of all over the place, but we had a couple of things we want to talk about. I mean, I think all in all, I mean, I feel good about what we talked about. I mean, we got a little cabinetry stuff in there, got a little business conversations in there, but we both got early mornings tomorrow. So we're looking forward to talking to you guys next week about how these weeks went and how the installs went and, kind of what we covered. And, but parting words?
Man, push.
Yeah.
Push for it this week. Be careful. Mind your business. But push. Push a little bit.
And I'll tell you, my challenge this week, my challenge personally is to get up an hour earlier each day and try to get something extra done. That's actually my goal for this week is to get up an hour earlier than I normally do, try to get something else done. So I'm going to challenge everybody to take this next week, that when this is actually published, get up an hour earlier or stay up an hour later than you normally do, whatever your schedule, and start, see what kind of productivity you can get out of that.
Yeah.
whether it's business related, whether it's family related. Maybe you just decide to spend another hour with the family. Maybe decide to get up an hour earlier and like eat breakfast with the kids before they go to school instead of them eating by themselves. Whatever it is, but look at your schedule and try to put another hour of productivity or time into it.
You won't regret it.
I love sleep, so I mean it's gonna be a challenge, but no, I don't think you'll regret it. I really don't.
Nope.
But yeah, try to go after it. Get those business plans started. Get that life plan started. What's the goal? What are you working towards? What is tomorrow's job? What's its actual goal in the long term? Because if you don't have a long term goal, you're just working day to day. You might as well just go to the
no way to be.
Go to the gas station and clock in. I mean, that's about the same thing you're going to accomplish. But yeah, code word. What you got? What are we going to talk about?
We're gonna go Argentina.
Argentina. All right. That is completely random and nobody will ever guess that one on their own. So let's hear some Argentinas back from you if you've made it all the way through. We really appreciate it.
And the funny thing is we forget the code word. People send us random words. I'm like, what is that? Oh,
yeah.
That must have been on the podcast.
We got one comment on YouTube from, I think, the last episode. I was like, man, I don't even understand what that's referring to be perfectly honest with you. I even went back and listened. And I was like, I still don't understand what they're referring to. But we love the comments. I mean, we try really hard to comment back to you, to give you some kind of feedback back. So, don't think that it's falling on deaf ears. We appreciate you. Thank you again for all the followers, all the listeners. 20 episodes it's very mild to a Joe Rogan. It's very huge to a Stile Boyz. It's a big deal. So we really, really appreciate it. And this is still in its infancy. I have no idea where it's going to go. We're just along for the ride and it's just enjoying the trip.
It's going to go absolute big time.
Yeah, big time. Nobody's going to need to make cabinets here for too long. Who knows?
That's right.
All right, man. Right. Well, what you got to say?
I done said it.
All right.
Let's go eat. Let's go eat some supper.
Bring them back.
Yeah.
Bring some digits back. I have a really weird injury on that thumb. I'll tell you about next week. But bring back all the digits. Be safe. Be productive. Get some things done. Thank you for listening so much. And have a great week.
See ya.
See you, buddy. Take care.
See you, man.